That's going on in Texas has uncovered some pretty prehistoric fossils. And they're finding out some really interesting history because the flood washed away quite a bit of the dirt. So we'll get into that with Jim Ryan at 7:20. Stephen Portnoy is going to be joining us.
Sorry. We're now live on YouTube. I had to change your name. It did say Heidi Glaus for 2 seconds.
Yes.
I just fixed that.
Okay, good. Stephen Portnoy is going to be joining us. Talk about the D.C. takeover and the latest there. Randy Carricker is going to join us, talk to us about the Cardinals couldn't score last night.
Oh, you mean that meme yesterday that kept saying that the Cardinals are 7-0 when Taylor Swift drops an album?
Oh, 7-1 now.
And so now they're 7-1.
Interesting. Taylor Swift, TS12.
Yep.
Apparently, hottest thing going.
You'll find out more tonight at 6 o'clock on the podcast of the Kelsey brothers.
Oh, I thought Brendan Weesey was going to have a full expose on it.
Well, I guarantee that Brendan will have that information as soon as it's available.
I have no ill will towards Taylor Swift, but they're treating her like she's the Beatles. I mean, is she the Beatles?
She's sold more tickets than the Beatles.
But here's my question, though, too. How many of this is loyal fandom? Meaning, like, every time she drops an album, the Swifties, it doesn't matter what it is. She could drop a steaming pile of whatever, and people are like, it's the greatest thing I've ever heard, just because they're loyal fans and they'll like anything that she does. Well,
and the whole marketing arm of this, right? I mean, this is now the MTV, right? There's Kelsey and her, the podcast, and this whole, it's just a marketing machine, 21st century. That's all it is. Yeah.
She's good at it, though. She
is. Fair enough. This Mike England story about St. Mary's High School buying their own property. What a tremendous story that is. We're going to check in with him at 8:50. Mike England, one of our go-tos here around here. What a great story. They were left. If you remember, the Archdiocese said, we can't support you anymore. Mm-hmm. And so they pulled support from St. Mary's High School. And all St. Mary's High School did was go independent, raise funds, create an endowment, and now has purchased the land. It's unbelievable.
And they're like one of the only ones that have done that based off all the other Catholic schools that have been
Rosati
closed.
Kane, I think, created
they are still?
Yeah.
They're still alive.
Yeah, the Archdiocese pulled the support there, and they were able to sort of make a go of it. So, I mean, it's unbelievable stories. So Mike England's going to join us at 8:50. And then we're going to focus on a man, Les Sternman, who is an organizer of an organization called Citizens for a Greater Downtown STL. He's been posting videos for years now, highlighting some of the problems of downtown St. Louis. And he has recently posted a number of videos of homeless people and, for lack of a better word, I'm trying to be couth here and somewhat sensitive, but drug-induced zombies who are walking around the city of St. Louis.
Bent over.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrifying and horrific to see this on the streets of St. Louis. And he points to a couple of different establishments that are the reason for this, and why are these places still around? Why do they exist? What's going on? So we'll check in with Les Sturman and have a conversation about downtown, Citizens for a Greater Downtown STL. So that's in the 9 o'clock hour. 6:14 here, Big 550 KTRS. And, downtown always gets blamed for everything, right? And that's where the homeless people usually gravitate towards. That's where the drug addicts usually gravitate towards. And so not all the homeless people are from St. Louis. Not all of the people who are addicted to drugs are from downtown St. Louis. But they take on a larger portion of the responsibility of dealing with them on their own.
Well, they used to have shelters down there.
Well, no, I understand it, but I mean, if you have a homeless shelter, homeless people are going to show up from all over the region. So they have an undue or unfair larger issue with homeless people, and people are like, oh, I don't go downtown. They're all homeless people down there. Well, yes, but the homeless people it's because your community doesn't do anything to try and help them. So that's why they're sort of downtown, is because that's where the resources are. And everyone looks at downtown and, turns their nose up and says, oh, downtown, I don't go downtown. There's a bunch of homeless people down there. Well, yes, it's because they're trying to do the Christian thing and help them, as opposed to some of these other towns who, we don't have any homeless people here. Well, yes, right, because they're all downtown. So...
Is Larry Rice's place still open? That's closed, isn't it?
No, they closed that place.
Because I was wondering if there was an influx.
But I mean, that was a problem, too, because I live near Larry Rice's place, and it's really hard to have a thriving community next to a homeless shelter where, you've got 150 people waiting to get in every night. That's not an answer either. So, I mean, I'm not...
And Larry Rice tried very hard to do everything right. And the city...
Well, he also did everything he could to twist the knife, too, as well. So he was his own worst enemy as well. He didn't really want to play ball with anybody. So, I mean, it's not an easy answer. But nonetheless, we're checking in with Les and talk to him about... Because he lives downtown. He invested in downtown. There's a group of people who live downtown who are calling attention to some of this stuff. So we'll get into that. 6:16 here, Big 550 KTRS. Kevin Polkowski, hopefully 270 northbound's better today than it was yesterday in the St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. How are we getting started?
Yeah, it was difficult yesterday, but today, no problems to start out the day. There's repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange, with the right lane closed until Friday afternoon at 3:30. And clocking your commute, it's a 12-minute ride from 270 and Cass downtown to the airport, 10 minutes to go from 55 and 141 to Bayless, and an 18-minute run from 44 and 141 to 55. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. If the summer storms have you saying, oh, hail, bring your car, truck, SUV, or van to Dents Express for a free hail damage repair evaluation. Dents Express will have your ride looking like new again, and they'll even take care of the insurance paperwork. That's Dents Express at dentsexpressstl.com. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, I got to tell you, today and Thursday, not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low down to about 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, maybe just a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high. Let's enjoy that because I think mid-90s are on tap from Friday through Monday with a heat index up in triple digits again. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's talk about this weekend because this weekend at Francis Park in South City, they're going to be hosting a festival called Grub and Groove. To find out more, go to grubandgroove.org. They are going to have a number of local, well-known, well-respected bands. Joe Dirt and the Dirty Boy Band. They got Steve Ewing's Master Blaster, as well as a couple of other. They're going to have a full row of food trucks and food tents, all to celebrate the summer. Grub and Groove, Francis Park. It's this weekend. The first band starts at 2, and it goes all day long. So one-day festival out there at Francis Park in South City. Some of the restaurants, Adam's Smokehouse, Angie's Burger, Donut Drive-In. You got the High Point Drive-In, Steve's Hot Dogs, just to name a couple. And then, of course, all the bands. Grubandgroove.com to find out more. Grubandgroove.org.
I'm Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor with Capital Advisory Group. Now, more than ever, having a tax strategy to protect and grow your wealth is an absolute must. Every Saturday, Josh Gilbert and I will discuss how you can keep what's yours, because the most important part of your wealth plan is your tax plan. That's Keep What's Yours this Saturday afternoon.
Capital Advisory Group presents Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall and Josh Gilbert this Saturday afternoon at 3 on the Big 550 KTRS.
Does the thought of turning on your AC unit make you sweat? Are you dreading another summer of high energy bills and a home that won't stay cool? Do yourself a favor. Schedule a maintenance visit with Viviano Heating and Air, with technicians trained to service every make and model of equipment. We'll put your mind at ease and keep you cool and comfortable all season long. Call today, 618-345-7498, or visit the website, vivianoair.com. That's vivianoair.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text LEGAL66 to 323232. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
A legendary weekend is coming to the Lou. Don't miss the Stiefel Charity Classic presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Watch PGA Tour champions compete and enjoy a live performance by music sensation OAR at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StiefelCharityClassic.com.
We hear so much about quality time, but it's the quantity of time that we want. Every member of the family gets enlisted in so many activities. As quality time usurps quantity, there's so little time to enjoy the freedoms that make America the envy of the world. If we could only unplug, disengage, and spend quantity time together, well, we can, in an RV. Escape into a whole new world in a Byerly RV.
Byerly RV.
Wherever you go, you're always at home in a Byerly RV.
Call the closer with Lauren Risley Realty every Sunday afternoon at 1. Powered by Homestead Financial Mortgage on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Live from Studio 550, this is the McGraw Show on KTRS.
All right. For no apparent reason, I was reading this story, and I found it quite interesting and quite entertaining, so I thought I'd put it aside and share it with everybody. Recently, there was a market or a research done by the Edison Research Group. And what they studied was in-car listening. Okay? In-car listening. So what do you listen to in your car?
Oh, I love this. I would ask everybody this question.
While driving down the street, what do you listen to? So here you go. Here's the list. No other way to say this than 56% of the respondents, 18 and older, AM, FM radio.
Seems low.
56%
of the people
responded.
Yeah.
Over 18.
Yeah, over 18.
To
56% AM, FM radio.
Okay.
The next highest, second, I should say that's number one, 56%.
Okay.
Listen to AM, FM. The next highest, Sirius XM, at 13%.
Okay.
So, satellites going to destroy AM, FM radio? I don't think so. I don't think so. Good try, though.
1/5.
Because I would love to have seen this, 30 years ago, in-car listening, right? What would you would have had AM, FM radio, you would have had cassettes, CDs, right? And your kid screaming in the back or something, right? I mean, that's really were your only options.
Right.
Right. AM, FM radio, 8-track, cassette, CD player.
Right.
I don't think
things that come standard in your car.
I don't think there was anything else you could have listened to.
You didn't have an aux.
Right,
Correct.
yeah, exactly. So 56% AM, FM radio, 13% XM, 6% next highest at Spotify. Okay?
And these are over 18.
Over 18.
Okay.
Yeah. 6% Spotify. Again, Spotify, everyone listens to Spotify. No, they really don't. They listen to AM and FM. You ready for this? The next highest, 5% owned music.
Wait, what?
Your own music.
On your phone.
Right, you listen to your own.
I thought
You
like,
listen to your
own songs you paid for.
You're your own DJ.
I thought it was
no,
like,
you thought
yeah,
the band in the back I listen to. I have a band with me.
You're singing along to
I have
yourself.
a karaoke machine and a couple people, in the back who rock out. The music you own on your phone is 5%. You know what's missing in all of this? Podcasts. Where's podcasts? 5% of the people listening to work listen to podcasts. Oh, podcasts. Oh, everyone listens to podcasts. Oh, I have to advertise on podcasts. This is the biggest thing in the world. Okay, really? 3% music videos on YouTube.
While you're driving?
While you're driving.
Fun.
3% Apple Music. 2% audiobooks.
Oh.
Love them.
2% other streaming audio services.
I was going to say Pandora's doesn't even get
1% Pandora. And 1% Amazon Music.
Amazon Music.
Which is included in your Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so it's
What,
another
really?
it's another whatever. So the fact is that AM FM listening dominates your in-car experience. And yet everybody, radio's dead. No, it's really not. It's going just fine. And here's a dirty little secret for you. As radio stations dip in and out of bankruptcy, they're all making money. They just can't service the debt load that they took on to buy the 700 radio stations. So they took on more debt than the model would allow, and
they're publicly traded.
So they have to fire all these people who then become podcasters and weaken their own model, but yet still can't service the debt. So, right? I mean, KTRS doesn't really have any debt. We're a one-man radio band, and we're doing quite well, knock on wood. So it's hilarious. So these idiots who are like, we're going to take AM out of cars. Really? 56% of the people are listening. Oh, everyone's going to podcasting. No, they're not. I'm not saying podcasting isn't viable, isn't wonderful. I listen to podcasts. They have their place. There's no question about it. But radio is still king. Radio is still king. And ever since I've been around, they've been trying to kill radio. For 50 years, they've been trying to kill radio with CDs and DAT machines and 8-tracks and cassettes and movies and VCR and in-home this and out-home that and digital and HD and what was that stupid music service that you got?
HD radio.
HD radio. No. What was the other one where you get it through your cable? Remember the cable where you get the radio through the cable box? It was like an early form of like Muzak or something. Right,
Music Choice,
whatever. I mean, they've tried to kill radio a million different ways. And look, I've met some of the idiots along the way who've done it, but you can't kill it. We're like a zombie. We just keep coming back. We can't kill us. They've tried. We're just too powerful. When done right, we're just too good. That's all there is to it. All right, let me hold on a second. Let me get off my soapbox here. All right, now Now we can get back to the show. I thought that was really interesting, though. Right? I mean, you don't hear that in sort of traditional media circles, but AM/FM listening still the most dominant form of in-car listening.
By the way, we're on YouTube and Facebook as well today.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. Numbers are great. We love them.
So if you're listening in your car, you can listen two other ways.
That's exactly right. Yes, the 1% of you who want to watch on YouTube in your car, feel free. 631 St. Louis Plaza Company Traffic Center. Here's Captain Paul.
McGraw, there's construction on eastbound 64 between Illinois 159 and Greenmount with the left lane closed. We have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange with the right lane closed until Friday afternoon at 3:30. And clocking your commute, it's a 12-minute ride from 270 and Cass downtown to the airport, 10 minutes from 55 and 141 up to Bayless, and it will take you 18 minutes to go from 44 and 141 to 55. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Weather for the next couple of days. Another hazy, hot, and humid day is in store. Though yesterday, last night, it was actually quite peaceful. A nice little sunset. High of 89 today. Mixture of sun and clouds. High of 89. Overnight tonight, low of 70. Tomorrow, high of 90. Friday and Saturday, we start to heat up again. Mid-90s to upper 90s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but no real rainstorms or fronts moving through. 71 at the Arch, 90 in Phoenix. 6:32. Let's go back to the newsroom. Here's Rose Dalton.
Wildfires are raging across southern Europe, killing at least 3 people in Spain, Turkey, and Albania. Thinly stretched crews are fighting to contain blazes after weeks of searing heat. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is joining German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Berlin today for talks with European and U.S. leaders ahead of a Trump-Putin summit later this week. Merz has convened a series of virtual meetings in an attempt to have the voice of European and Ukraine's leaders heard ahead of the summit in Alaska, where President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are expected to discuss a path toward ending Moscow's war in Ukraine. The president of the St. Louis County NAACP is throwing his hat into the political arena. Yesterday, John Bowman, his candidacy for Missouri's 14th District Senate seat. And it's Senior Appreciation Day at the Missouri State Fair. Seniors will receive a discounted admission today, along with discounts at select concessions and vendors. 71 degrees. Time now is 6:33. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News.
Head to the stadium on Saturday, September 6th, when the Birds host the Giants. 20,000 fans, 16 and older, will score a limited edition Hall of Fame baseball card shirt, thanks to Edward Jones. This all-over print shirt features McGee, Forsch, Tudor, Coleman, The Wizard, Whitey, and her. It's a giveaway you won't want to miss. That's Saturday, September 6th. Get tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Willie McGee, St. Louis Cardinals for the Loop.
Hi, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. Summer temps sure put our air conditioners to the test. A few years ago, before I knew about Premier Heating and Cooling, our air conditioner was on its last legs. We decided to push the envelope and try to limp through another St. Louis summer before replacing it. We went away on vacation and came back to discover our air conditioning unit had gone on the fritz while we were gone, and we ended up with all kinds of trouble, including warped wood floors. That delay in replacing our worn-out unit was an expensive mistake. If you're limping through and you know it's time for a replacement unit, our friends at Premier Heating and Cooling can take care of you and even work with you on financing. Or if you haven't taken the time to really get your air conditioner checked out and make sure it's operating at peak efficiency, which will really help on your bills and help with the life of your air conditioning unit, Premier Heating and Cooling is the place to go. Excellent rating with the Better Business Bureau. So many of their new customers are referred by happy customers like me. PremierHeatingCooling.net. 636-916-1122.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
Navigating to and through retirement doesn't have to be complex. Listen to What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means. Sunday mornings at 10 on KTRS, the Talk of St. Louis.
McGraw in the Morning continues after this on the Big 550.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
.636 here, Big 550 KTRS. Patrick Reevell, we're getting hooked up with him, ABC News London correspondent. Lots of moving parts with this Russia-Ukraine-U.S. story. The summit is supposed to take place in Friday in Alaska. Also, we're hearing news that Russia is amassing troops on the border. Patrick Reevell, ABC News London. Let's start there with the Russian troops positioned at Ukraine in what looks to be an offensive. What can you tell us?
Good morning. Yeah, so basically Russia is continuing this massive offensive that it's been pushing in eastern Ukraine, close to the key defensive city of Pokrovsk. And there's been a worrying development in the past couple of days for Ukraine, where we've seen Russian troops appear to make a break in Ukraine's front line. And a small number of Russian troops appear to have been able to advance about 10 kilometers behind Ukraine's line. And the reason that is worrying is that relatively, by the standards of this war, that is a pretty rapid advance. And what we're seeing from both some Ukrainian commanders and soldiers, as well as independent military analysts, is a lot of concern that if Ukraine is unable to seal up this break, it could become a very dangerous situation for Ukraine's broader defense of the Donbass region, which is this region that Vladimir Putin right now is trying to seize and is demanding Ukraine cede in these peace talks. And I think we should say, though, for now, most military analysts say Ukraine has a good chance to seal it. But I think more generally, the reason people are so concerned is that this seems to reflect the sort of deteriorating position that Ukraine has in this war, where in particular we're seeing that its forces are very thinly manned in eastern Ukraine. And the longer this goes on, its position at the moment seems like it will become more and more difficult.
There are reports that Zelensky is talking about this offensive in terms of these Russian troops having virtually no equipment, but are walking with weapons in their hands to try and cause some issues to make it seem like Russia's much more powerful as they enter into this summit with Trump in Alaska. What do you think? Or no?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think this partly reflects the nature of the war over there now, which I think people might be surprised to hear how the fighting often unfolds. At this stage, because of the amount of drones in the air, the amount of damage Ukraine has done to Russian forces, that most of the time they now try to advance in just tiny groups of infantry on foot, usually just with rifles, and they try to basically sneak past Ukrainian positions because both sides are so stretched. They are able sometimes to get through these gaps in the line. We also see Russians often attempting to do it on motorcycles. And I think what the Ukrainians are saying, and I think this is true, is that the Russians right now are pushing very hard and attempting just to make it appear that they have made a major breach in order to influence the situation and the atmosphere going into this summit on Friday. But having said that, I think the fact is that they've been able to do this does reflect bigger problems that Ukraine has right now. And certainly Vladimir Putin will attempt to use this development on the battlefield going into the summit. And I think but the problem for Ukraine is that President Trump is likely very inclined to listen to him on that, and that his attitude towards the war in Ukraine generally has been that Ukraine's position is much worse often than it actually is in reality.
This summit that's coming up, Zelensky was invited. It wasn't happening unless he was there. Then he might have been showing up. Apparently, he's not going, and he went to Germany.
So President Zelensky has just arrived in Germany. He's due to have a virtual call with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance today, along with a number of top European leaders. And basically what we're seeing here, including from President Trump, I think, is an attempt to make clear that Zelensky is involved in this peace summit, that he's not just being sidelined. But I think there is a lot of concern in Europe and in Ukraine that this is a golden opportunity for Vladimir Putin to try to influence President Trump in Russia's favor. And we heard from Zelensky again today saying that he does not believe and that Ukrainian intelligence has no indication that Vladimir Putin actually wants a ceasefire or is going into this summit hoping to get one, but in reality is hoping just to use this summit as a personal victory for himself and to show himself aligned with President Trump, and then to try and increase the pressure on Ukraine with hardline demands that both Europe and Ukraine will not be able to accept, and hoping by doing that and getting President Trump to agree to them, that he will drive a wedge even further between the United States and Ukraine and Europe.
Talk about that for a moment, because Donald Trump, one of the fears in this, when you have a summit like this, usually you already have an announcement of what's going to take place. Apparently, they're going to be negotiating face to face, and so the fear is that Donald Trump might get played again. He's the ultimate deal maker, and he's a high wire act. But Putin might embarrass him, might make him look bad. Talk about that and that fear in Europe and with Ukraine right now.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of fear about that. I mean, I remember I was at the 2018 summit in Helsinki when President Trump met President Putin for the first time, and where essentially he sided fully with Putin, including over whether Russia had meddled in the elections in the United States. But I think people are, very concerned that ultimately President Trump is going into this summit without necessarily a very clear goal of what he hopes to come out of it, or a clear understanding of what Russia is trying to do. I think he keeps talking about land swaps, but in reality, what is being proposed by Russia really is for Ukraine to hand over a significant amount of land in exchange for very little. But I think ultimately what is interesting is that going into previous talks between Russia and Ukraine, there's been no sense that anything could come out of it. But there is, just through all the maneuvering that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, some glimmers that perhaps the two sides' positions have narrowed. I think both sides have started talking about just freezing the front lines. And if that were to happen, that would be a deal that Ukraine would be much more able to live with if Vladimir Putin is really moving towards that. But we don't know. It's also entirely possible that he will go, we'll try, we understand from what we're hearing from many Russian sources is basically that Vladimir Putin is going to sort of overload President Trump with all these ideas for how Russia and the United States could cooperate, and then at the end just try and crowbar in again more extreme demands to Ukraine. But we'll have to wait and see. It's certainly, as you say, President Trump is a wild card in this situation, so perhaps something unexpected will come out of this.
Patrick Reevell, ABC News in London. Great insight as always. Keep yourself safe and keep your cell phone on. Thanks for checking in. 7:43 here at Big 550 KTRS. Jim Ryan, ABC. Jim Ryan. I'm sorry. Jim Ryan coming up here in about an hour. John Beal, I should say. Got my J's confused. John Beal Roofing, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, or johnbealroofing.com. Still, I hear nail guns all over the place. I see roofing materials being dropped off all over the place. And every time I see it, I just say, I hope they're local, because if you went with somebody out of town, it's a giant wild card for all of your roofing needs and the storm damage. I learned this relatively recently. Do you know that you have up to a year after a storm to make a claim? So still very many claims are still to be had. Very many claims are still to be processed. And so, there's still a lot of people who can call John Beal and take advantage of John Beal because they're local. Now, look, when we talk storm damage, it's not just roofs. It's siding. and gutters. And it's not just hail, it's wind damage as well when it comes to roofing. So you've got a whole bunch of issues, and that's why you keep it local, and that's why you keep it John Beal. They guarantee you the best price. They'll work with your insurance company. Did I mention they're local? Stay away from the out-of-towners. Go local. Go John Beal. 1-800-NEW-ROOF or johnbealroofing.com. Captain Paul in the St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Good morning.
Good morning, McGraw. Construction on eastbound 64 between Illinois 159 and Greenmount has speeds reduced to about 40 miles per hour in that area. Northbound 55 is running slow at Bayless. We have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange with the right lane closed. That will last until Friday afternoon at 3:30. And taking a look at some drive times, it's 9 minutes from 5570 in Collinsville to downtown St. Louis, a 10-minute drive from 141 in Manchester down to Gravois, and 11 minutes from 70 and Cave Springs to the airport. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
Much lower rain chance on Wednesday, about 10 to 20% chance for a spot storm in the afternoon or early evening. A high of 88, very near normal, still a bit muggy though, and a near normal day on Thursday, mostly sunny with a high of 89. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau. See what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
The 37th Midwest Salute to the Arts invites you to a 3-day outdoor arts festival at Moody Park in Fairview Heights, Illinois, August 22nd through the 24th. Visitors can immerse themselves in a celebration of art, enjoy local food vendors and a kids' creation station. Also, join us for Uncommon Collaboration, an exploration of contemporary sculpture exhibit, in partnership with Art Village Fairview. For more information, visit MidwestSalute.com. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
Locally owned, locally operated. The Big 550 KTRS. Depend on it.
All right. Was it the other day when I said, let me be a misogynistic? What was it? Or was it, let me be, what was it?
It was yesterday when you were being snarky about Barkay.
Oh, yeah. Let me be snarky. You can allow me to be snarky again?
Every day. I will allow
Okay.
the
Can I be snarky? I'm not normally snarky. I'm normally snarky.
You are normally snarky.
But I don't mean to be. It just comes naturally. But in this instance, I know I'm being snarky. So just allow me to be snarky for a second. So over the last couple of days, and we haven't really touched on it much here, but over the last couple of days, the left and the right, their latest meltdown in the last 3 days, right, has been federal troops in Washington, D.C., okay? I think we can all agree that that's been a major topic of conversation. And each side has thrown tomatoes at the other side. Oh, my goodness, the sky is falling, federal troops in Washington, D.C., and the other side saying, Crime is so bad, it's like Baghdad. I can't believe this is the American streets in 2025. We need a Marshall Plan. We need to bring these people in. This is the apocalyptic, right? Okay, that's the other side, okay? And so the national media, for all the great things they do, they tend to hype things. That's the nature of the beast. And the politicos, they tend to hype things for their own benefit. I mean, we can all admit that. However, now the story is that the federal troops have arrived in Washington, D.C. And so now this is 1936 Berlin, because these federal troops are now in Washington, D.C. And oh my goodness, they're going to start, they're going to start shooting innocent people walking down the street because they're going to get a loaf of bread. Okay, right? And so in the New York Times this morning has a story about National Guard troops being deployed in Washington, D.C. And what you're not going to hear, okay, even though it's plastered in this New York Times story, is that there were a dozen National Guard troops in 5 military vehicles right next to the Washington Monument. And they were there for 2 hours.
What, visiting?
Well,
just going to the monument.
Funny you mention that, because what were they doing in this crime-infested wasteland known as Washington, D.C.? What were they doing? They were taking pictures with the tourists.
No.
Yes, they were. Troops snapped photos of themselves with visitors. They left roughly 2 hours after they arrived. Master Sergeant Corey Boroff said as he stood near a Humvee, "We just did a presence patrol to be amongst the people, to be seen. Of the people, for the people in D.C., he added. He also said he did not know where they would be headed next.
Museum, Dave and Buster's.
This apocalyptic view of Washington, D.C., and oh my goodness, the sky is falling, and we're going to have jackbooted thugs who are going to be, taking people off the streets. You got 12 National Guard people in 5 Humvees, and they're snapping photos with people at the Washington Monument. And both sides all week long are ready to kill each other. This is the end of civilization as we know it. This is crime-infested Baghdad, or these jackbooted thugs are coming to take our country away. And what happened? You got 12 National Guard people snapping photos with tourists. Oops. I mean, that's hilarious.
It is.
That is classic America 2025, where you take a sliver of a story and you run it through your own political agenda or your own political prism or your own political ideology, and all of a sudden you blow it up to such ginormous issues, and you're sitting in your home in beautiful St. Louis. Life couldn't be any better, right? Your biggest concern is how many weeds you have in your front yard. And you're sitting here and you can't sleep at night because these military people are going to destroy our national monuments. Or you can't sleep at night because of the crime-infested streets of Washington, D.C., having zero effect on your life. None whatsoever. It doesn't affect you going to the store to get whatever protein you need for your barbecue for Saturday night. It doesn't affect you one way, shape, or another. And you can't sleep at night, and you're yelling at your sister. You won't talk to your brother. You haven't talked to your high school friend for 3 years because he's a liberal or he's a Trumper. And the story is that you get 12 National Guards people hanging out taking selfies. And this is what you're ruining your life for. This is all performance art, and it's all of these people and all these entities selling their own version for their own benefit, and the rest of us all lapping it up. It's really quite hysterical. So when I read that this morning, it was like, really? That's what we're freaking out over? We're freaking out over 12 National Guardsmen setting up for 2 hours. It's like they had a recruiting tent up at the Washington Monument. They were handing out flyers for 2 hours. I mean, that's what it was. What's
Bring your selfie sticks and your pens.
Right. I mean, that's going to solve the crime-infested area as Washington, D.C. Okay. All right. Can we get on to something much more important? Holy mackerel. That is hilarious. What do we got going on here? What's that?
Yeah, what's that
hand
signal? I don't
gesture
know what
again?
that means.
Does that mean do another live?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Zach had way better hand signals than you.
What was Zach's?
I don't remember. Zach knew enough not to talk to me that way. You haven't learned that yet.
No. Right. Don't question.
Or, of course, John Beaver, the late, great John Beaver, who the studio's named after. What a nice man he was. He would hand me the live to do in mid-rant, and then I would forget to do it, and I'd go to a commercial break. And then as I went to commercial break, I was like, oh, I forgot to do the live. And then he would say, oh, no, that is my fault. I apologize.
Aww.
And I was like, I was the one at fault. He's like, no, I'm sorry. I handed it to you wrong. I was like, no, you really didn't. You were wonderful.
Well, then I'm sorry for pointing at you.
No, that's all right. All good. 6:57 here. Traffic and weather in a second. Let me tell you about my neighbor, Larry Thornton, because if you need windows, you need to talk to Larry, because Larry owns a company for 38 years now, called The Window Store. He brought his son into it a number of years ago, 25 years or so ago. So the two of them run a company called The Window Store. They've got installers. Installers have been with him for 20, 25 years. He's got a great team around him, and he'll get you windows. And he'll get you windows at a better price than anybody else in town. And there's no real marketing, buy one, get 7 free, right? There's none of that gimmick stuff going on. They're all quality windows. He's got a great attention to detail. Their craftsmanship is second to none. Their customer service is great. They're not going to stand in your living room and stomp their feet and demand you sign on the dotted line. They don't really care. They've got so much business. There is no high-pressure sales. It's like minus pressure. Everything is energy efficient. They got great attention for detail. Windows and doors. Buy one, buy 10, buy a whole house fill. Doesn't matter. Larry Thornton will take care of you. Tell him McGraw sent you. 314-739-0002 or wswindow.net. From the Country Club Car Wash text line, can you quietly remove McGraw's caffeine? I think he's had too much. I don't drink coffee. This is a natural high, baby. 6:58, St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Good morning, Captain Paul.
Good morning, McGraw. Construction on eastbound 64 between Illinois 159 and Greenmount has speeds reduced to about 40 miles per hour in that area. Northbound 55 is crowded from Bayless to Weber. Drive time from 55 and Lindbergh through the construction area to 44 is 10 minutes. Northbound 270 is running at less than 40 miles per hour from Big Bend to 64. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange with the right lane closed. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Weather for the next couple of days. Here's what we got. 89 degrees today with a mixture of sun and clouds. Overnight tonight, low of 70. We're going to start to heat up here. Thursday, we're going to touch 90. Friday, mid-90s. And then Saturday and Sunday, upper 90s. So hazy, hot, and humidity continues throughout the region. Right now, it is 71 degrees. but it's 90 in Phoenix. I know, it's so brutal. It's 90 in brown. Everything in Phoenix is brown. Stay right there. 7 o'clock here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The National Guard on the National Mall. Tourists and troops mingling in Washington, D.C. at the direction of President Trump. ABC's Jonathan Karl is there with more.
Dozens of National Guard troops will be on the streets of the nation's capital, part of President Trump's attempt to reel in crime in Washington, D.C., which he claims is spiraling out of control. The first of 800 troops arriving in Hummers and dressed in combat camo posted along the National Mall Tuesday, with tourists and children strolling past. The Army says the National Guard troops will support local law enforcement and that some have been directed to maintain a presence at national monuments.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Berlin right now, along with other European leaders. They are discussing a possible Ukrainian ceasefire deal, as many downplay the hope of anything concrete coming from Friday's Trump-Putin summit in Alaska.
Trump himself downplaying expectations as well.
I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. Probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
Trump had wanted a trilateral meeting that included Zelensky, but Putin rejected that.
ABC's Martha Raddatz. Zelensky will also have a virtual meeting with President Trump. Following the firing of the Kennedy Center board, the president is set to make an announcement there later today. The annual award nominees will be announced at the facility. The president on social media Tuesday called it the Trump Kennedy Center. Tropical storm Erin continues churning in the Atlantic Ocean, and, says ABC News Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee,
in the next 36 to 48 hours, we should have our first hurricane way out in the Atlantic. As it turns to the north, it becomes a major hurricane, so passing north of Puerto Rico. We still think there could be high surf and rip current risks there.
Police in Philadelphia still looking for 2 men who held up a Brinks truck on Tuesday, making up with about $800,000. This is ABC News.
It's Miller Furniture's 98th anniversary and sales tax holiday, going on now through August 19th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress. We've been serving our customers with high-quality, American-made furniture at great prices since 1927. Right now, you'll save the amount equal to the sales tax or more on everything at our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms.
We have new and fresh looks on display like Flex Steel leather reclining sofas with power headrests and lumbar support, or our unique heirloom quality Amish-made furniture. Come see why we were voted Retailer of the Year by the Home Furnishings Association.
Shop our huge selection of American-made mattresses with brands like Chatham & Wells, Tempur-Pedic, and Stearns & Foster. Right now, get a free adjustable base when you purchase a Chatham & Wells mattress.
Let our 98 years of experience help you save time and money. 4 showrooms, 1 big celebration. Don't miss our 98th anniversary and sales tax holiday, going on now through August 19th.
At Miller Furniture and Mattress for 98 years and counting, we put the family in furniture.
A shocker in Minnesota, where 54-year-old Brian Hooper has been trying for years to get his 1998 murder conviction overturned. He was found guilty of killing 77-year-old Ann Presniak, but Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says somebody else recently came forward.
We learned that the state's star trial witness had come forward on her own to not only recant her testimony against Mr. Hooper, but to confess that she was responsible for killing Ms. Presniak and concealing her body.
Heavy equipment brought in overnight to help move twisted railroad cars that derailed in a rural area west of Dallas-Fort Worth. In Dallas, ABC's Jim Ryan has more.
Among the 36 derailed cars were some carrying oil, propane, and hydrochloric acid. Firefighters arrived within minutes.
Do not enter the area with any personnel.
The audio from Broadcastify, it was determined that none of the tankers were leaking, but that sparks from the derailment had caused a series of grass fires.
The fires really weren't that big around the rail cars, but we didn't want to take any chances.
Rain in the area this morning is helping to douse any grass fires as work begins to clear the tracks and determine the cause of the derailment. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Eastman Kodak has been around for 133 years, but might not make it to 134. The company that popularized print photography, but has struggled during the influx of camera phones and digital cameras, is cautioning investors on its business operations. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Hi, I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home.
It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
72 degrees at 7:05. Here's what's happening now. A Ferguson man is facing 4 years in prison for stealing the identities of 13 people. That sentence was handed down yesterday to 32-year-old DeLeon Ford, who has also been ordered to pay nearly $27,000 in restitution. Prosecutors say Ford admitted using the identities of the victims to open financial accounts, obtain unsecured loans, rent a U-Haul truck, and open a cell phone account. Ford also helped an Illinois jail inmate to obtain loans in the name of others. A more comprehensive review of prospective law enforcement officers prior to hiring will be required under a new Illinois law spearheaded by State Senator Doris Turner in response to the shooting death of Sonia Massey. Turner joined Governor J.B. Pritzker, members of the Massey family, and state and local leaders at the bill signing on Tuesday. The new law will take effect in Illinois on January 1st of 2026. St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School will stay open. During a press conference yesterday, school leaders announced that St. Mary's has purchased the 23-acre property and all buildings from the Archdiocese, securing its home in Dutchtown. The nearly 100-year-old school was at risk of closing. Back in June of 2022, the Archdiocese announced intentions of closing the school due to declining enrollment and financial concerns. This led to efforts to keep the school open. According to school leaders, the support of the St. Louis region and many partners, enrollment has grown and allowed the school to provide new opportunities for students. This includes partnerships with local trade unions offering pre-apprenticeship college credits and internships with SSM Health Trades professionals. Dates for this year's Battle of the Bands charity competition have been announced. Details from KTRS's Steve Potter.
The free 4-week music competition will take place every Wednesday night in September at the Hub St. Louis, a 40,000-square-foot outdoor space located at the District in Chesterfield. Organizers say 10 bands will compete over the first 3 weeks beginning September 3rd, with finalists taking the stage September 24th. Admission for the public is free, but audience members can buy $5 voting tickets to support their favorite band, with proceeds going directly to that night's featured charity. Those charities change every year, but this year they're Friends of Kids with Cancer, Chad's Coalition for Mental Health, and the Walk to End Alzheimer's. The Battle of the Bands raised almost $10,000 for last year's charities. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
Missouri One starts intern and apprentice tax credit applications are now open. Under the program, Missouri employers that increase the average number of interns or apprentices they hire may claim a credit against their state tax liability. Applications will be open through November 15th. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. 72 degrees. Time now is 7:08. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News.
All right, Rose Dalton, thanks for checking in. It's 7:08, and a little bit later on, Jim Ryan's got an interesting story about the floods in Texas. The floods have unearthed some really interesting artifacts and some interesting fossils. So we'll get into that with Jim Ryan here. Also, Stephen Portnoy's got the latest on what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the National Guard showing up for 2 hours at the Washington Monument and taking selfies with the visitors and everybody else freaking out. Also, what's going on with Donald Trump and Zelensky as they get ready for this summit in Anchorage on Friday. So we got that. Randy Carricker's going to check in, talk sports. Cardinals lose last night out at the stadium. They get shut out by the lowly Rockies. And then the wonderful story about Mike England and St. Mary's High School. Mike England announced yesterday that St. Mary's High School has purchased their own building and lot, if you will, and put them on fine financial footing, which is a wonderful story. So we'll get into that with Mike England. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, spokesperson, leader of Citizens for a Greater Downtown STL. Les Sternum is going to be joining us to talk about all the things going on there. Brady Cook carted off the field on a stretcher at practice with the New York Jets. That scream you heard was from Frank Cusimano saying, "Say it ain't so." However, they're saying that it's not serious and that he should be back in the next couple of days. Jonte Porter. Do you know who Jonte Porter is? Jonte Porter played basketball for Mizzou for a short period of time, him and his brother, Michael Porter. And Jonte Porter went on to play in, they both went on to play, they both went on to play in the NBA. His younger brother, Jonte, didn't have as big of a career, but Jonte Porter was suspended indefinitely from the NBA because of gambling allegations. He was so involved with gambling that he was betting on, giving people advice, whatever it was, and it was so bad that the NBA just said, "You're done. You just they Pete Rosed him. You're done." Well, Michael Porter, the brother, they both played at Mizzou. Michael Porter went on to play for the Denver Nuggets, win an NBA championship with the Nuggets. Listen to this. Michael Porter was quoted as saying recently about betting on sports. Now, this is the guy whose brother has been suspended from the NBA for gambling. This is the brother who's not suspended for gambling, who is currently playing in the NBA. Michael Porter Jr., former Missouri basketball player. Quote, "Think about it. If you can get all your homies rich by telling yo bet 10K on my under, this one game I'm going to act like I got an injury and they all get a little bang. Some people come from nothing and they think like that." That's what Michael Porter Jr. said about gambling in sports. And his brother has been suspended in the NBA for gambling. Now, am I crazy? Or is this a massive problem when it comes to gambling in the world of sports?
Is it admission?
I don't know what it is, but it's an, I don't know if it's, what they usually call a gaffe when somebody speaks the truth and people find out about it, right? Oh, my God. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Why? Because it's the truth. Oh, okay. Well, heaven forbid. Right. Heaven forbid you tell the truth the way you see it. But again, it's insane. Each and every day, it seems like another person is suspended or called into question or something when it comes to gambling. There was somebody, the Oklahoma quarterback, just the other day. The Oklahoma quarterback was quoted as saying, "Oh, hey, my Venmo account about gambling, those were jokes. That wasn't real. I don't bet on college football. That's not me. That's just my Venmo account. They were jokes." He says, "The allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions are not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I've never bet on sports. I understand that it's a serious matter and recognize that. Taken out of context, those Venmo transactions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials at the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling."
A lawyer wrote that.
Now, could he be telling the truth? Sure. Could he be a massive addict of gambling and in the throes of a gambling addiction? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could be. Again, What this is the world we're walking into. Major League Baseball, NFL. If you can't see the landscape out there as being a disaster, what are we looking at? And everyone's, I can't believe you talk about these illegal gambling machines. They're everywhere. You have every day there's another sports story about gambling and how it's destroying the lives and the integrity of the game and the money and the people and the places. And everyone says, well, what do you care? What do you mean, what do I care? It's the world we're living in. And that gambling is this scourge on society that is destroying the very fabric of our society. And what do you care? Well, yeah, I'm kind of curious about it. But Michael Porter saying that sort of raises a couple of eyebrows. So, again, we'll see what happens. But Major League Baseball, you go to a Cardinal game and they got gambling things right on the outside wall. Bet 360. Oh, okay. All right.
And what channel are you watching it on?
Right, FanDuel. And then we're shocked there's gambling going on in here? Wait, what? Gambling? I'm shocked. 7:15 here, Big 550, KTRS. St. Louis Classic Company Traffic Center. Here's Captain Paul Kopsky.
McGraw northbound 55 is crowded from Bayless to Weber. Drive time from 55 and Lindbergh through the construction area to 44 is 10 minutes. Northbound 270 is running slow from 44 to 64. Speeds are reduced to about 30 miles per hour around Manchester. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange with the right lane closed there. From the KTRS St. Louis Plaza Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, I got to tell you, today and Thursday, not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low down to about 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, maybe just a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high. Let's enjoy that because I think mid-90s are on tap from Friday through Monday with a heat index up in triple digits again. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
Stuart at Stewart's American Mortgage. What do you need to know? He was in the studio the other day talking about how mortgages have taken a nice little dip over the last couple of days. Don't be fooled. Don't think you can call up and pit Stewart's rate against somebody else's rate, and maybe you get a flyer or something, and somebody's promoting some type of rate. All of that is just marketing. When they're advertising the rate, you need to get it through our heads that that's just marketing. They'll get you in because they don't know what your rate is, because each rate is individualized to the individual portfolio of the individual. Hence, it's an individual rate. These mortgage companies and the mortgage bankers and the mortgage industry, if you will, looks at each one of us as a different set of risk. And so with a different set of risk comes a different set of interest rates. What we should be shopping are the fees, because the fees they can control, and the fees have nothing to do with our ability to repay. The fees are about how much money these mortgage companies can make. And at Stewart's American Mortgage, they don't charge any fees. Zero. Looks like a bagel, hence the bagel loan. So if you're looking to refinance and you want to lock in the gains now, do it. Since it's not going to cost you anything, lock it in at whatever rate that's lower than what you got now, save a couple bucks, and then when it goes down 6 months, a year from now, do it again. Doesn't matter because it's not going to cost you anything. But when you go somewhere else, it's going to cost you $8,000 to save your $50 a month in your mortgage. Doesn't make any sense. That's why they say you need to wait. But now with Stewart, call him. He'll run the numbers for you. 314-324-4440 or stewartsamc.com.
Most people think if I name my husband as beneficiary, everything's going to be okay, and that's not necessarily true.
I'm Scott Garcia with Premier Estate and Income Planning.
What am I doing taking care of people after somebody has passed and all the mess that comes with that?
And I'm Jennifer Cermak, Chief Counsel and Estate Planning Attorney of Premier Estate and Income Planning.
No longer is the attorney the gatekeeper to your lives.
Let us show you how to protect your assets, avoid probate, and retire with confidence.
Having an estate plan could be the most important document you could ever have.
The Premier Income and Estate Planning Show. This Saturday at 4 and this Sunday morning at 7 on the Big 550 KTRS.
McGraw Millhaven on KTRS.
$7:20 here, Big 550 KTRS. Jim Ryan, normally you come with some weird stories, some sad stories. We wanted to get you on. This is a fun, interesting story. The floods, being what they are, have at least uncovered some interesting gems. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, the tragedy of those floods, 135 people dead, others missing still. During the cleanup process, the crews came across something unusual in what was a riverbed alongside a creek in Travis County, not too far from Austin. They found big, huge, what looked like dinosaur prints. And in fact, they are dinosaur prints. Acrocanthosaurus, which was a 35-foot long carnivore that walked on its hind legs, looked something like the Tyrannosaurus rex. They found these tracks there made 115 million years ago. This part of Texas, there in central Texas, was part of a shallow ocean all those years ago. So dinosaurs walking around in that mud left prints. Those prints were preserved in what now is stone, and it's been uncovered by the floodwaters, washing away debris and silt and sediment and brush. And so now there is this new trove of artifacts from all those millennia ago.
How many artifacts did they find? Are we talking about here?
Well, they found at least 15 prints that had never been seen before, footprints that were out there, some from Acrocanthosaurus, some others from Paluxosaurus, which is the official state dinosaur of Texas, by the way, which was a big a herbivore that wandered around out there. So, yeah, a lot to be studied out there. The folks who made that discovery, the searchers who made the discovery, contacted the county. The county contacted the University of Texas, not too far away in Austin, and scientists have been out there. They've been very quiet, though, about where exactly these prints were found, only saying that it was along Big Sandy Creek. They don't want people out there tromping around and disturbing these things, destroying the prints or trying to steal them or something. They're also trying to work with the search crews that are out there and recovery and restoration people who are trying to restore the area after the flooding, so that they don't get in the way of those people and those people don't get away with this research.
Couple questions here. Did they know that? I mean, obviously they didn't know those footprints were there, but did they know that these dinosaurs roamed that area before this?
They did.
Yeah.
Yes. Texas is full of dinosaur prints. There's a whole dinosaur park southwest of where I am here, about 20 miles, and you can go there and see these prints that were left there in the mud. Those. So, yeah, we did know that there were dinosaurs here. This was the land of woolly mammoths and the big herbivores, big meat eaters. And so, yeah, this was kind of dinosaur country back in the day.
Meat eaters, even way back when. They loved their barbecue, even 100 million years ago, those dinosaurs.
That's what's for dinner.
Yeah. Are they going to leave the prints there, or are they going to take them to a museum? What's the plan?
Hard to say. First of all, they need to learn as much as they can where they are in the mud. So they're going to bring out maps. They're going to do 3D imaging. They're going to study them as much as they can in place. And, at some point they may cut around them and remove the prints so they don't, they aren't facing any more erosion. But the plan right now is just to study them right where they are. So teams from UT Austin, the paleontologist department, they're sending folks over there to take a look.
Did they learn something new? In other words, did they think one thing and then discovering it, and I know it's early, but discovering these artifacts, did they learn something new from discovering these artifacts?
Well, it certainly raises new questions. Did the 35-foot long meat eater, Acrocanthosaurus, travel alongside Paluxosaurus, the herbivore? Were they kind of traveling together in packs? In giant packs of giant dinosaurs? That's a good question that needs to be answered now. They lived at around the same time, so it'll be interesting to see if, in fact, this brings out a new theory about these animals maybe working together in some way.
Laura Dern and Sam Neill show up down there. Another episode of Jurassic Park in the works now?
This isn't the Jurassic period. This, I believe, is the Pleistocene.
Inquiring minds want to know. Jim Ryan bringing his paleontology expertise to the show. Jim, good stuff. Thanks for checking in. As always, keep your cell phone on. Thanks, man.
See you, McGraw.
You got it. I think that's a cool story, right? I mean,
Something good out of something bad.
Yeah, you wash away all this dirt and grime, and all of a sudden these rocks appear, and it's got a fossil from a rock from a dinosaur from 100 million years ago. You know what's cool is, and I don't know which one it is, and I'm going to butcher this, but in the Jurassic Park series of movies,
there are 7.
and you might know this, and you can help us out here.
Mm-hmm.
In one of them, I don't know if it was a director's cut or extended version or the master mix version, but in one of them, there's the beginning of the first 5 minutes of the movie is just dinosaurs roaming the earth. And it's nothing more than 5 minutes of what appears to be the Jurassic period of these birds flying and raptors flying and just them living their life. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, a meteor comes and blows up the screen. And then it says, 300 million years later. And then the movie starts where they're in some park and whatever else, right? It's like, with the high def or whatever you're looking at, it showed up on the screen. And Emerson and I were just mesmerized by this reenactment of this computer-generated valley where there were just dinosaurs. And it's not in the regular movie. There's 2 different versions of it. It's weird, but it's in the beginning of one of these Jurassic Park movies. And it's just 5 minutes of being a fly on a rock during the Jurassic period, for what it's worth.
I'm not sure which one that is.
No, that's why I know. It's weird. It's just sort of like some alternate
theater?
beginning. No, I saw it at home. Yeah.
The extended cut.
Yeah, it's like it's the extended cut or the director's cut or some weird version of one of the movies. So,
but that's not a bad thing.
No.
You enjoyed it.
But it was fascinating just to watch these computer generated renderings, artificial intelligence dinosaurs in was what was a artist's rendering of what it was like.
And why just in Texas? I mean, there have been floods in other places. How come?
Well, because they were living down there. Yeah, the woolly mammoths of the world and all these other ones were living down there. So yeah. Also, probably they loved the barbecue. They were meat eaters. 727 here, Big 550 KTRS. From the Country Club Car Wash text line, where did they find the fossils? I walked away from the radio and missed parts. They're not saying. They're keeping them quiet, but it was uncovered during the floods. So it's near, what did he say? It's near Austin, I think it was, or whatever, where he was. He's in Austin, so he said it's near Austin, but they're not giving the exact location for obvious reasons. 728 here, Captain Paul Kopsky, St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Good morning.
Good morning, McGraw. An accident on eastbound 70 at 270 is causing a stop and go back up to the Blanchette Bridge. Northbound 55 is heavy and stop and go at times from Bayless to Weber. Drive time from 55 in Lindbergh through the construction area to 44 is 11 minutes. Northbound 270 slows to about 30 miles per hour from Big Bend to 64. It's a 12-minute ride from 270 and Tesson Ferry up to Manchester. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange with the right lane closed there. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. If the severe storms have you saying, oh, hail, Bring your car, truck, SUV, or van to Dents Express for a free hail damage repair evaluation. Dents Express will have your ride looking like new again, and they'll even take care of the insurance paperwork. That's Dents Express at dentsexpressstl.com. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk weather for the next couple of days. Hazy, hot, and humid. Today we're going to touch upper 80s, maybe 90s, but not as bad as it's going to get. The heat up begins after today. So high of 88. A couple of showers could be in the afternoon. Humidity going to be quite excessive today, but a high of just 88. Overnight tonight, low of 69. The warm-up begins tomorrow, high of 90. Friday, we're in the mid-90s. Saturday and Sunday, we're in the upper 90s. 71 at the Arch at 7:30. Let's go back to the newsroom. Here's Rose Dalton.
Mexico is sending 26 high-ranking cartel figures to the United States in the latest major deal with the Trump administration. This comes as American authorities are ratcheting up pressure on criminal networks sending drugs across the border. Sections of Alaska's capital city are bracing for the arrival of what could be record floodwaters due to rainwater and snowmelt flowing downstream from a basin dammed by the Mendenhall Glacier. Some Juneau residents in the flood zone have evacuated, heeding warnings. On Tuesday morning, authorities confirmed water had started escaping the ice dam, with flooding expected into Wednesday. The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education voted to close 12 schools it operates for the severely disabled. Among those schools is Gateway Huber Wheeler in St. Louis. The closures will take place through 2026. And the 47th annual Baldwin Days kicks off tomorrow. The event includes entertainment, food, and carnival rides. Baldwin Days runs through Sunday. 71 degrees. Time now is 7:30. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of gold unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Hi, St. Louis. This is Ben with Timberline Professional Tree Care. You've heard me for years warning of the devastating effects of emerald ash borer. Well, the time has finally come that this pest has damaged or killed almost every untreated ash tree in the region. For some trees, it might be too late. But if you only have minor damage to your tree, please call Timberline Professional Tree Care as quickly as possible and get on our treatment schedule. Further, if you've been using a box store remedy or if another local provider has been treating your ash tree, give us a call. We bet we can save you a lot of money on your treatment program. Timberline has 7 ISA certified arborists and 5 licensed applicators to diagnose, treat, and save your trees from this and other harmful pests. To save your trees, just like we've saved thousands of other trees in the area, visit our new website at stltreecare.com or call 636-479-7475 anytime.
When it comes to mortgage lenders, I know you have no shortage of options. But are you working with someone local who can truly simplify the process? I'm David Goldberg with the Goldberg Group, and as a St. Louis home purchase expert, I know this market inside and out. I specialize in tough-to-complete situations for borrowers who are self-employed, looking to buy and sell at the same time, and may have been turned down somewhere else. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or seasoned homeowner, you can trust me with all of your home financing needs. Call or text me at 314-471-4030. 314-471-4030.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at SchneiderJobs.com.
Imagine feeling trapped, helpless, and afraid. That's what partner abuse creates. Alive is here to make sure that you get the help for yourself, your children, and your pets. Hi, this is Guy Phillips inviting you to participate in Alive's annual golf tournament at auction, September 8th at the beautiful Legends Golf Course. Gather a foursome, sponsor a hole, or just make a donation. And all donations get a Missouri tax credit of 70%. Get all the information at alivestl.org. Together, we'll end the cycle of abuse.
Andy from Hats and Stuff. Man, it's hot out there, and so are the deals at Hats and Stuff. Unbelievable prices on Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou, NFL, and City SC merchandise. Thousands of items under $20. And don't forget the cowboy hats. We also have a huge $10 t-shirt program on St. Louis-inspired themes as well. Located in Westport Plaza, across from the Drunken Fish and the Kobe Steakhouse, and 24/7 at hatsandstuff.com and the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays.
Hats and Stuff. Good stuff at really great prices.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top-notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
McGraw, live in the morning on KTRS.
7:35 here. Stephen Portnoy joins us on most mornings to check in on the national news of the day. Stephen Portnoy, President Trump is making all sorts of waves about Washington, D.C. The National Guard apparently taking selfies at the Washington Monument for a couple of hours, about 12 of them, and that constitutes, I guess, the National Guard moving into Washington, D.C. But he's talking about fixing or solving the homeless encampments. What does President Trump want to do with the homeless shelters or the homeless in Washington, D.C.?
Well, he wants them out of their encampments. The White House said yesterday, pressed for details about the president's pledge to try to take care of those who live on the street, that their options include leaving, being taken to a homeless shelter, or being offered addiction or mental health services. If they refuse, according to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, they will be susceptible to fines or jail time. Leavitt says that the officials are going to begin enforcing laws that have long been on the books. And so they're just going to have to go. Where? Well, leave, go to a shelter, they're often full, or be offered addiction or mental health services if they need them. Otherwise, jail, it seems, or fines. Look, homelessness is a scourge in this city and in most cities in the country. If there were easy answers, we would have licked it by now. So the president is taking an aggressive stance and posture. He does not want to see the encampments on the streets of the city. They are a blight. They are an eyesore. And he's going to force them out. But it's as far as how is he going to take care of them, well, that's not clear.
Yeah, one of the biggest heartbreaking stories in America for generations has been the homeless. And how do you solve the problem? How do you break the cycle?
And, McGraw,
yes,
homelessness is at an all-time high in America. The idea is that rents are increasingly out of reach. People get stuck in a cycle of evictions whereby they have black marks on their credit scores, can never get new apartments. And then if they apply for vouchers from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they oftentimes find in many cities that no one will take them. The shelters are full. The efficiency hotels, the long extended stay hotels are extremely expensive, and people wind up being trapped. And more of them are trapped now than have ever been before.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on to Zelensky and Russia and everything else, did the White House offer any money for mental health services, addiction services, extra shelters, or anything like that?
Well, not that I'm aware of. Certainly not anything new this week. But the president is taking control of the D.C. police, bringing in the National Guard, ramping up the presence of federal law enforcement entities here in D.C., trying to put forward an aggressive display for the country through its television screens about how tough he is on crime.
The other big story that's happening is this summit that apparently is going to take place in Anchorage on Friday with Putin and Trump. Zelensky apparently not going to be there, but going to have a primer call beforehand. What's going on here?
Today's huddle, next hour, is meant to get the president and the European allies and Zelensky on the same page. Zelensky was not invited to Friday's summit in Anchorage, Alaska, but he has traveled to Berlin today to sit with the European leaders. President Trump and Vice President Vance will join by video conference, and it'll be sort of a pre-Putin summit huddle. The president has said that he expects Ukraine will have to swap some territory, whatever that means. It seems to mean that Ukraine will have to cede territory to Russia in order to end the war. Zelensky said this morning that there's no indication that he sees that Putin is prepared to end the war. Putin and Trump will meet in what the White House is now describing as a listening exercise for Trump. What is it that Trump's going to learn that he hasn't heard before? Well, the press secretary says getting in the room with the president of Russia, sitting face to face rather than speaking over the phone, will give the president the best indication of how to end the war and where it's headed. That's the quote from Caroline Levitt.
Yeah, no, President Trump and his Jedi mind tricks being what they are, feels that he can sort of, bend the mind of Putin. Putin, being a KGB officer himself, thinks he can use the Jedi mind trick on President Trump. So we'll just have to wait and see. But this is high stakes, Stephen Portnoy. You know this better than anybody, right? These summits, these meetings usually have something planned, and a lot of pre-work has been done. In this instance, they just decided to do this. This is high stakes.
Well, you're right, and there's a risk here. Look, the White House is probably aggressively trying to tamp down expectations that any kind of sort of resolution will come out of this, and not just the president's aides, but the president himself. At his news conference at the White House on Monday, the president said that maybe it's possible that Putin is just stringing him along, and he'll have to walk out of the meeting and say, okay, fellas, keep fighting it out.
Yeah, no, Donald Trump is taking a big risk to look like he's being played by Vladimir Putin, like it looks like he's been played since he got back into office. We'll wait and see what happens. Stephen Portnoy, good stuff. As always, keep your cell phone on. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
You bet.
741 here, Big 550 KTRS. Piccadilly at Manhattan, the oldest restaurant in St. Louis, so they say. I don't know. I wasn't here 101 years ago or 120 years ago when they opened up the Piccadilly right there on the corner of Piccadilly and Manhattan. I do know that they've been there a long time, and I do know that they offer great food at a great American fare. It's American Classics. They got an outstanding selection of wines and specialty drinks, and the staff couldn't be any friendlier. It's such a great place to go. We've been going there for 20-something years now, and it's the official, unofficial restaurant of the morning show here on the Big 550 KTRS. Nick and Maggie, the owners, have sort of ceded it now to the next generation, but they're still very much involved, and you want to go and have a great meal. Whether it's springtime, summertime, they got back patios when it starts to turn fall and beautiful, and they got space heaters and fire pits and everything else. You're never going to have a bad time at Piccadilly at Manhattan, and you're never going to run into it by accident. You're never going to be driving down the street and say, oh, well, yeah, I've heard of this place. That's never going to happen because it's hidden. That's why they call it a hidden gem. Piccadilly at Manhattan. Get to McCausland. Go south on McCausland. Go to the bright big Amoco sign. Get to McCausland. South on McCausland. Cross over Manchester. Cross over Arsenal. And about a quarter of a mile, half a mile away, you're going to make a right onto Piccadilly or Manhattan, and it's right there. The hidden gem. Piccadilly at Manhattan. For catering, you don't need reservations, but if you want one, Piccadilly or Piccadilly.com.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau. See what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Here is Captain Paul Kopsky.
McGraw, a 2-car crash on eastbound 70 at 270 has been moved off to the right shoulder, but it's causing congestion back to 94. Northbound 55 is heavy and stop and go at times from Bayless to Weber. Drive time from 55 and Lindbergh through the construction area to 44 is 14 minutes. Northbound 270 slows to less than 30 miles per hour from 44 to 64. It's a 16-minute ride from 270 and Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Westbound 64 is running slow in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down at 170. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. That's causing a slowdown. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. woodsbasementsystems.com.
Much lower rain chance on Wednesday, about 10 to 20% chance for a spot storm in the afternoon or early evening. A high of 88, very near normal, still a bit muggy though, and a near normal day on Thursday, mostly sunny with a high of 89. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's talk Galmish & Sons, because we're in the midst of a unprecedented summer here in St. Louis. And over the last 75 years, Galmish has been around. This is the worst summer in terms of hazy, hot, and humidity. And that's what the official data is saying. Galmish & Sons has been right there on the front lines every single step of the way. They've been busy. I called them a couple of times this summer to check in on them. And, yeah, they've been nice enough to call me back, but they're busy. They're busy running around because they are the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. 75 years ago, the Galmish family opened up Galmish & Sons Heating and Cooling. And guess what? In those 75 years, the same family still runs it. They've rejected all the hedge funds and private equity firms that have come into so many other companies around the world and have bought it up, stripped it for parts, and ruined an otherwise great family business. Galmish & Sons, still very much owned by the people who started it and the family who started it 75 years ago. So if you're looking for a company you can trust when it comes to your air conditioning, especially in this record-breaking summer, Galmish & Sons is the name to remember. 314-993-1110 or galmishandsons.com.
I'm Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor with Capital Advisory Group. Now, more than ever, having a tax strategy to protect and grow your wealth is an absolute must. Every Saturday, Josh Gilbert and I will discuss how you can keep what's yours, because the most important part of your wealth plan is your tax plan. That's Keep What's Yours this Saturday afternoon.
Capital Advisory Group presents Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall and Josh Gilbert this Saturday afternoon at 3 on the Big 550 KTRS.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights and including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Drury Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Bob Ramsey for AAA Home Services, a local, family-owned and family-run American Standard heating and air conditioning platinum dealer that's been keeping St. Louis comfortable and safe for 55 years. They service all brands, so schedule them to service your AC before it gets too hot. And if you need a new system, they'll give you a fair and honest estimate on American Standard, voted #1 by Consumer Reports. You'll get the best pricing and tax credits of 2025. Call AAA at 636-397-3200, online at AAASTL.com. Call AAA. We're on our way.
McGraw, live in the morning on KTRS.
$7:50. Coming up in an hour from now, we're going to check in with Mike England, who has been coming on the show for years talking about St. Mary's and the story of St. Mary's. St. Mary's High School. It is so interesting to look at the world through the eyes of St. Mary's High School because it got started back in the 1930s. At one point, it had 1,000 students or so. It's produced some of the most famous people St. Louis that has come through St. Louis: Joe Garagiola, Frank Bomarito, good old Martin Dugan from Donnybrook. Francis Slay was at the news conference yesterday talking about it. And a couple of years ago, the Archdiocese announced that it was, as it's reconfiguring the world, that they decided to pull their support from St. Mary's. And the plan was for it to go away. Well, not only did it not go away, but it became an independent school. And give credit to the Archdiocese, even though they were planning on shutting it down, they did allow St. Mary's to continue and to find a way. So they were very beneficial in that sense. And so the Archdiocese allowed St. Mary's to sort of continue on. They found funding on their own and continued on. And then yesterday, they made the announcement that they have purchased the land and the buildings. So now they're completely independent. What's interesting is, so the Archdiocese of St. Louis now only operates 6 high schools: Bishop DeBerg, Cardinal Ritter, St. Dominic in St. Charles, and Duchesne in St. Charles, St. Pius X in Jefferson County, and St. Francis in Franklin County. 6 high schools. That's it. The Archdiocese is involved with 6 high schools. Now, many more elementary schools, but only 6 high schools. Right? The world's changing. St. Mary's is $11,000 a year. Most of the students receive some type of scholarship. And what they're doing is they are teaming up with unions. And so that they're teaching the skills for the 21st century. You can't, AI, no matter how good these coders are not going to be able to take the job away from a plumber. Somebody is still going to have to unclog the toilet. Somebody is still going to have to run the pipes. Somebody is still going to have to figure out the sewer problems, right? Whether it's electrical, whether it's building, whether it's heating and cooling, pipe fitting, whatever it is, they've yet to figure out a way to have a computer do that for you.
There's no Roomba.
There's no Roomba for your plumbing. And so there's an interesting quote in the article this morning from Jake Hummel, who's been on the show before. He's president of the Missouri AFL-CIO. He said that the programs that they're offering at St. Mary's are offering a pathway to middle class with high wages and Cadillac benefits, and that 25% of the kids graduating from St. Mary's 25% of them will be going to Rankin Technical College or start an apprenticeship in the trades in the fall. And so I think we all agree that schools have gotten away from
the trades?
The trades and only advocating for a college degree from a 4-year university. And, this sort of getting back to our roots and getting back to, just because you don't go to a 4-year college doesn't mean you're a failure. And that there's a lot that makes sense for going into the trades. That still doesn't mean you're not educated. It still doesn't mean you're not intelligent. But what they're doing on the front lines with St. Mary's is nothing short of amazing. The Archdiocese pulls their support, and a few years later, not only is the enrollment increasing, but they've now bought their own land, and the majority of the students at St. Mary's High School are Black and Hispanic, more than half. And a lot of the students come from just that neighborhood. And so it is a success of epic proportions any way you look at it. It is a tremendous story of how people who saw a problem and the community, along with these leaders who are smart, intelligent, courteous, kind, have been able to solve a problem. Now, is the world solved? No. Are there other problems out there? Yes. Is this going to fix everything? No. Okay, you can still complain if you want to. You can still call up and text and complain and tell me how bad I am. But this is a good story, and we should all be proud that the community came together and they found the resources to do this, and they've been able to be a major anchor in an otherwise depressed part of St. Louis. It's a wonderful story. We're going to check in with him next hour. Can't wait to talk to him. And he's spent 13 years now at St. Mary's High School, and you blink your eyes, it's 13 years later, but he was all ready to leave for a job somewhere else, and out of nowhere, the Archdiocese called him up and said, hey, can you help us out with St. Mary's? And Mike England said, okay, and has transformed St. Louis in a good way. It's a wonderful story. Can't wait to talk to him in an hour. And I would recommend finding out more about St. Mary's just because it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful story about how St. Louisans come together through all businesses, unions, Black, white, Hispanic, city, county, north, south, east, and west to do something good for a high school which had a great history and seems to be on a path to having a great future as well. So good stuff. 7:56 here, Big 550 KTRS. Let's check traffic and weather. St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Here is Captain Paul Kopsky.
McGraw, a two-car crash on eastbound 70 at 270 is off on the shoulder, but traffic is slow back to 94. Northbound 55 is heavy and stop and go at times from Bayless to Weber. Drive time from 55 in Lindbergh through the construction area to 44 is now 15 minutes. Northbound 270 is running less than 30 miles per hour from Gravois to 64. It's a long 18-minute ride from 270 and Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down from McKnight to Big Bend. Southbound 270 is crowded from Page down past Olive. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. That's causing a slowdown. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, weather for the next couple of days. It is going to be hazy, hot, and humid. The only thing that's going to change is the temperature. 88, 89 the high today. Maybe we'll touch 90. But then we've got temperatures tomorrow in the 90s, Friday, mid-90s, Saturday and Sunday, upper 90s. Hazy, hot, and humid. No real rain anywhere in the forecast except for maybe a pop-up thunderstorm along the way. 90 degrees in Phoenix. So that's the good news. We don't live in Phoenix because everything's brown and hot. 74 in the city of St. Louis. 7:58 here, Big 550 KTRS. There's a new documentary on CNN about John F. Kennedy Jr. that they're out promoting. That guy is one good-looking dude, man. I know he's passed away, but that guy is one good-looking guy. I mean, I'm man enough to admit that guy was good-looking. And I got a minute and a half. Did you ever hear my theory on John F. Kennedy Jr.?
No.
Rose has heard this.
Do tell.
Here's my John F. Kennedy Jr. theory, and I don't know if I have time to tell it correctly. I don't. I'll tell it right after top of the hour news. But it's a good one, and it would make a great TV series. Trust me on this.
Better than the one that CNN's doing right now?
That's like a documentary on John F. Kennedy Jr.
Well, yours is speculative.
And you came up with this by yourself? Or
All by myself. However, if you really want to watch something that's really funny, James Spader was on with Jimmy Fallon. And James Spader, the actor, grew up with John F. Kennedy Jr. They were high school buddies.
Wow.
And James Spader tells a story that is fall off your chair hilarious about John F. Kennedy Jr. inviting him over for dinner one night with Jackie Kennedy and Carolyn Kennedy, and the four of them having dinner like you would on a Tuesday night when your friend's over and, is your friend Jimmy staying for dinner? It just happened to be Jackie Onassis. It's up on YouTube. It's a great story. I'll tell you my theory after the top of the hour news. 8 o'clock, KTRS St. Louis.
Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 106.1, K291CW St. Louis.
ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Berlin for talks on ending the war. Later today, he is scheduled to meet virtually with President Trump and Vice President Vance ahead of Friday's Alaska summit between President Trump and Russian President Putin. Among those downplaying the Alaska talks, says ABC's Martha Raddatz, Ukrainian President Zelensky himself.
Zelensky saying this morning that there is no sign that the Russians are preparing to end the war, and all countries that want peace should force Russia to make peace.
The White House also lowering expectations, says ABC's Patrick Reevell.
We've heard from the White House saying it's essentially a listening exercise for President Trump. And of course, I think that's going to cause a lot of concern in Europe, who are worried about what President Trump will hear and what he will consider to be reasonable coming out of this.
Tropical storm Erin steaming across the Atlantic, gaining strength and expected to become at least a Category 3 hurricane by this weekend. Probably won't hit the U.S., but forecasters are still keeping an eye on it. A week and a half after leaving Texas to prevent a vote on Republican redistricting, Texas Democrats are headed back to the Lone Star State.
After gaveling Tuesday's session to order, Texas House Speaker Dustin Burrows announced
a quorum is not present.
More than 50 Democrats were out of state, blocking a House vote on a district map that could yield 5 more Republicans in Congress. But Burrows has spoken with Governor Greg Abbott.
He is committed to calling us back again and again and again until our work is done.
Sources tell ABC News the absent Democrats will come back to Texas, satisfied that they have at least temporarily stalled the Trump-backed redistricting effort. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Federal troops now patrolling Washington, D.C. Under federal law enforcement, President Trump can only take control of the D.C. Police Department for 30 days. Unless Congress authorizes a longer term, the National Guard can stay longer. This is ABC News.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Becoming a truck driver doesn't have to be complicated. At Schneider, we make it easy to get your commercial driver's license and start your new career. With our CDL apprenticeship training, you'll get paid to become a truck driver in just 5 to 6 weeks and have a Schneider driving job waiting for you when you've completed the program. Plus, during training, Schneider will provide transportation, lodging, and meals at no cost to you. Ready to get your career on the road? Learn more and apply today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Millions of Americans facing more hot weather today.
From Reno, Nevada, where we've got heat advisories, to Las Vegas and Phoenix in extreme heat warnings, over to Monroe, Louisiana, Jacksonville, Florida, up to New Hampshire, like Manchester and even Burlington, there are heat advisories in place. So the heat will be a little above average and to the point where it can be dangerous if you're exposed for a long time.
ABC News Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. The head of the CDC is blaming misinformation about the COVID vaccine for the deadly shooting at the agency. The gunman had complained that the COVID shot made him sick and depressed. ABC's Mary Kakatos with the ABC Medical Unit says several health officials in the Trump administration are noted vaccine skeptics.
Secretary Kennedy, he's called the mRNA vaccines one of the most dangerous vaccines ever produced. No evidence to support that. There's also been Secretary Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who has expressed skepticism about the mRNA vaccine platform. So there have just been a number of public health officials in this second term who are more vaccine skeptic than the public health officials who were in the first Trump administration.
A lot of us are saying no to any alcohol. A new Gallup poll says 54% of adults say they will grab a drink, be it liquor, wine, or beer. That's the lowest in the last 3 decades. And a record high percentage of Americans, 53%, now say they don't even have moderate drinking. They think it's bad for you. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
74 degrees at 8:05. Here's what's happening now. Another baby was saved through a safe haven baby box in the St. Louis area. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story. Former St. Louis Alderman Brandon Bosley fired his attorney just days before his trial is set to begin. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that Bosley and his attorney, Diane Dragon, said they disagreed on the defense strategy for the charges of wire fraud and lying to the FBI. Once a new attorney is appointed, this will mark Bosley's third attorney. Bosley's trial is scheduled to begin on August 25th. The president of the St. Louis County NAACP is throwing his hat into the political arena. Yesterday, John Bowman announced his candidacy for Missouri's 14th District Senate seat. And the Illinois State Board of Education is expected to vote today on a new test scoring system. State Superintendent of Education Tony Sanders says the proficiency test scores are too high and don't accurately measure a student's academic progress or readiness for higher education. Approved, the new benchmarks will be used to grade exams students took last spring. The Greater St. Louis Inc. Leadership Program is now accepting nominations for its 2026 program. More from KTRS's Steve Potter.
Greater St. Louis Inc. serves 15 counties in the metro region, and its Fellows Experience is a project with local companies and organizations to help them retain and cultivate mid to senior level career professionals. The 9-month experience is designed to equip these rising local leaders with the skills that they need to shape economic growth in the St. Louis region. Those chosen will join a network of past fellows to work on ways that they can shape policy and drive innovation. And according to a spokesperson, the Fellows Experience gives professionals the space and tools to thrive both for themselves and the communities they serve. Greater St. Louis Inc.'s Fellows Program will begin in January and run through next September, with sessions taking place at locations throughout the St. Louis region. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, a place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. 74 degrees. Time now is 8:07. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
You know, it's interesting, that Bosley story about him being charged with lying to the FBI. David Stokes was on the show the other day. He pointed this out. Why is lying to the FBI a crime? Why can't you lie to the FBI? I'm not advocating lying to the FBI. I'm just saying.
Interesting.
Why is it a crime to lie to the FBI?
Is that like obstruction of justice?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, there's all sorts of laws against lying to the FBI, which, okay.
Why can't you lie to the FBI?
Well, you're not under oath.
Right. You're not under oath. You're not allowed to falsely conceal or cover up any material fact through any trick, scheme, or device. You cannot make any material false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or representation. You make or use any false writing or document knowing it to contain material false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or entity. Why not? Don't I have the right? You have the right not to answer.
But I mean,
you can't lie.
It's obstructing justice.
I mean, yeah.
Because I'm assuming it's in the middle of a interrogate or some type of a.
But you're not under oath.
You're not in court.
You're not in court.
Yeah, but you can't lie to the police officers either, can you?
Well, I wouldn't recommend lying to the police.
I do it all the time.
I'm just saying.
Watch true crime all the
why
time?
is it against the law to You have the right to free speech. You can lie to your wife. Not advocating lying to your wife or your boss, but is it against the law to lie to your wife? It's a different story. Why is it against the law to lie to lie to the FBI? It's an interesting parlor trick. Okay, 8:09 here, Big 550 KTRS.
Why can't you lie?
Let's get into my JFK Jr.
All right.
Theory.
Back in July of 1999. When John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane went down on the way to Martha's Vineyard, I think the world changed in ways in which we're still dealing with today. Because at that point, in 1999, when he died, he was 38 years old. Okay? And if you talk to any one of his closest and dearest friends, there was no question that he was already gearing up to run for political office. And that office that he most likely was going to run for was, you're John F. Kennedy Jr., you don't start as a dog catcher of, New Rochelle, okay? You don't start as the auditor of Westchester County, okay? You start at a bigger level.
Senator.
And with Daniel Moynihan resigning, the United States Senate seat in New York was available and open. If he does not die in that plane crash, I believe, and many others believe in his world, that he was going to run for United States Senate in New York for the state of New York in the year 2000. He would have gone up against Rick Lazio. Hillary Clinton instead runs, and Hillary Clinton wins that Senate seat. Now, hindsight being 2020, you could argue that if Hillary Clinton wins that seat, you could argue that John F. Kennedy Jr. probably would have won that seat. Okay? Yes. So if he doesn't die, he becomes United States Senator from New York. He wins in 2000. He gets reelected in 2006 because Hillary Clinton gets reelected in 2006. You have 9/11. Do you think he messes up 9/11 somehow in something he says or does? I think he becomes a powerful United States Senator in a very short time because of 9/11. And he becomes a powerful voice within the Democratic Party. He wins re-election very easily in 2006. Now, he's got the Kennedy name. He's got the Kennedy looks. He's been a United States Senator for 6-7 years. I think the man decides to run for president of the United States. Hillary doesn't exist anymore. And the field is John Edwards, some first-term senator with a weird Muslim-sounding name from Illinois.
Who gave a great speech.
Or John F. Kennedy Jr. So Barack Obama doesn't get out of the starting gates, doesn't place well in the Iowa caucuses. Nobody wants to hear about him. It's more or less of a correlation for John F. Kennedy Jr. for the 2008 presidential nominee.
Would you think that he might they might put him up against Bush in 2004.
No, hold on a second. No. This is what? This is 19. No, this is no. He's a first term senator. No.
Happened with Obama.
No, true, but okay. Well, this is my alternate universe.
Okay.
This is my alternate universe. He wins re-election. He wins re-election in 2006. Then he runs for president in 2008. We have the financial meltdown. President Obama doesn't get the nomination. It goes to John F. Kennedy Jr. Who's going to beat John F. Kennedy Jr.? You have the financial meltdown. John McCain couldn't beat Obama. He's not going to beat John F. Kennedy Jr. John F. Kennedy Jr. becomes president. John F. Kennedy Jr. wins re-election in 2012. Okay? And say what you want about whatever happens. Let's assume whoever his vice president was, however it works out in 2016, Hillary doesn't get the nomination. She's been out of the public eye since 2000. It's now 16 years later. Hillary never runs in 2016. You don't have the backlash of Donald Trump running Republicans to beat the Democrats in 2016 after you have to at least assume he's as successful as Obama and or unsuccessful as Obama. It's a razor's edge race, but it's not Donald Trump.
Trump probably would have stayed a Democrat.
So by him dying in July of 1999, you don't get Hillary, you don't get Obama, you don't get Trump. And the world in 2020, you certainly don't get Biden, and you don't get Trump a second time. So the world looks drastically different in August of 2025 based on what the plane crash in July of 1999 when John F. Kennedy Jr. dies and his wife and the sister-in-law dies in that plane crash. I think there's an alternate universe, and there's another United States of America living in another universe where John F. Kennedy Jr. lives, and it looks very different than the one we're living in today. Not good, not bad, not better, not worse, just completely different because of the world changed that day when he died. That's my theory, and it'll make a great novel.
Or a Marvel movie.
Right? I mean, imagine all the different places you could take it and whatever else. 8:15 here, Big 550 KTRS. St. Louis Classic Company Traffic Center. Here's Captain Paul Kopsky.
McGraw, there's a stalled tractor trailer in the center lane of northbound 55 at Park and 7th with a stop and go back up to the 44-55 Gravois merge. Westbound 6455 is crowded coming into Illinois from the Poplar Street Bridge. Northbound 270 is running at less than 30 miles per hour from 44 to 64. It's a 16-minute ride from 270 at Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Northbound 55 is crowded around Bayless. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down from Clayton Road to Big Bend. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. That's causing a slowdown. From the KTRS, St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, I got to tell you, today and Thursday, not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low down to about 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, maybe just a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high. Let's enjoy that because I think mid-90s are on tap from Friday through Monday with a heat index up in triple digits again. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital because if you drive by Grand and Choteau, you see the building, the new Cardinal Glennon Hospital being built right before our very eyes. And in a few short months, they're going to be having a ribbon cutting and opening up the front doors to 21st Century Hospital that will change the world. And you talk to anybody who's ever been treated at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital or the parents of kids who have been treated there, and the reverence, the love, the feelings they have are just overwhelming because they save lives every single day at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. They have talk about science fiction. What they're doing, state of the art. Just science fiction every single day to save lives. Kids come from all over the world. Would you like to find out more? Just find out more about the place you live. Find out more about a wonderful story. End of the year giving, estate planning. Maybe you want to partake in one of their charity events. And of course, we've always got Light Up Glennon, which is coming up now, I think for our 6th or 7th year, when we sing Christmas carols to the kids in the hospital. Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, glennon.org. That's glennon.org.
Looking for a great local restaurant recommendation?
Feed me Seymour.
Tune in to the Kuno Food Service weekly special during the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Hear from the best of the best restaurant owners in town. Only on the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Presented by Kuno Food Service, right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
Grounded third, diving play by Arenado. They get the out! Unbelievable!
Get ready for the ultimate showdown. The New York Yankees come to Busch Stadium the weekend of August 15th through the 17th, and they're bringing the star power. See sluggers like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton take on your Cardinals in one of the biggest series of the season. Finish off your summer in style with the Cardinals and Yankees. Great seats still available. Get yours now at Cardinals.com.
This is Nolan Arenado, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game, it's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands, because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song.
If you have back-to-school shopping to do, then you should make Macy's your first stop, because Macy's has back-to-school styles from brands like Nike and Jordan, must-have denim from Levi's and Good American, and now Macy's has Abercrombie Kids too. It's all in one place, all at great prices. And here's another reason to come in. If you're already at Macy's and you saved so much, you could stop by the fragrance counter and pick up something for yourself too. The best back-to-school styles are here now at Macy's.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of gold unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
It's the Big Sports Show with Sports Director Brendan Lisi. Weeknights 7 to 9 on the talk of St. Louis, the Big 550 KTRS.
Now, back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, Randy's going to join us at 8:35, talk a little sports, and then Mike Ingram's going to talk about that great St. Louis, St. Mary's story, and then Les Sternum from the Citizens for a Greater Downtown STL is going to be joining us. He making all sorts of noise and frustrating elected officials because he's using his camera to bring attention to some of the more troubling aspects of downtown living, and a classic example of a citizen who's, calling attention to some of the problems and demanding answers. So we'll get into that with him in the 9 o'clock hour. Joe Holliman deserves, I don't know if he get local Pulitzers or he deserves something for the continuing story of Darlene Green, somehow after spending 30 years as the comptroller, getting beat by Donna Behringer, and then still somehow being on the payroll. She would still be getting these payroll checks, except for the fact that somebody, Joe Holliman, did a little investigation. Somebody's tipped off Joe Holliman, or Joe Holliman found out about how Darlene Green was ended up on the payroll and started asking a bunch of questions, in which I'm sure he was called every name in the book. But my hat's off, a tip of the cap to Joe Holliman for keeping this story alive. The new part of this story is that the Civil Service Commission will now investigate the mistakes into the city personnel department. That was the department that will be involved in the probe. Now, this is weird. So you have the comptroller of 30 years lose her reelection, and then she becomes a private citizen. So she's still on the payroll, and the personnel department kept her on the payroll. So why are they going to be involved in the investigation? Sounds like an episode of The Wire, right? We're going to get to the bottom of this. So they announced that they are going to investigate and figure out what's going on. Now, Donna Behringer, the comptroller who beat Darlene Green, is saying, hey, you know what, we need to investigate this, and let's put it on a timeline. And everyone's saying, hey, Donna Behringer, you don't have the authority to do this. So there'll be a little bit of a turf war going on over who gets to investigate this. But the issue is 2 payroll checks for about $13,000 that were sent or going to be sent to Darlene Green. Neither one of them were cashed and have since been voided. So the money, no money's lost. And $13,000, you know, really, it's insignificant in terms of the actual money. But I'm afraid if you start to peel back this onion, how many other people are still on the payroll? Right? Is Police Chief Joe Moqua still on the payroll? Is Francis Slay still on the payroll? I mean, who's still on the payroll over there? And what's going on? So if Darlene Green can just accidentally show up on a payroll 30 years later for a job she left 30 years ago, you got to wonder what's under some of these other rocks, right? Or is this a one-off? And if it's a one-off, somebody's got to be hung out to dry on this. Someone's got to take the fall for this. You can't just have somebody show up on a payroll and then the newspaper and everyone's asking questions. All of a sudden, oh, well, we saw it was an AI problem. I mean, you can't blame Google for this. Somebody actually went in there and typed in Darlene Green gets paid $6,000, right? Somebody had to do that. It didn't just revert back to a 30-year ago computer software glitch, did it? I mean, that seems odd. So God love Joe Holliman for keeping this in the public eye. But, Kara Spencer, the mayor, she's the one saying, let's get to the bottom of this. All the people are saying all the right things, but when it's all said and done, something happened. And Darlene Green was somehow on the payroll even after she got ousted by the voters. So stick around to see how this thing all works out. By the way, the Muni is got La Cage aux Folles, which you saw.
I did, Friday night.
And you loved it, didn't you?
Love the dancing and the singing.
Yeah, and then they're going to finish up with Jersey Boys on August 18th. So August 18th through the 24th. And then the Muni will be done for the season. So one more chance after La Cage aux Folles to go see the Muni and Jersey Boys. What a great way to end the season. But the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I've only met one person who didn't like Jersey Boys.
Really?
I won't tell you who it was, but every time I see this person and Jersey Boys comes up in conversation, they say, I didn't really care for it. I was like, how did you not like I don't really like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Really?
That's not what the story's about.
Well, it's just universally loved, and it's such a great story. And what a great way to end the Muni season. So if you are so inclined, August 18th through the 24th, Jersey Boys at the Muni. Hey, let's talk about Kevin Lloyd and retiring, because the sisters are en route. They just left Santa Fe. They wanted to go see where Gene Hackman died, apparently. And they're on their way to St. Louis. No, they were just going to Santa Fe anyway. I did say, though, why don't you go check out where Gene Hackman got eaten by rats? And they were like, what is wrong with you? They're like, seriously, what is wrong with you? I'm like, well, you're in Santa Fe. I'm sure it's a tourist attraction now. They're like, you're something's wrong with you. It's a roadside attraction, right? So the two of them are retired, and they're doing an old lady, Thelma and Louise. I call it old lady. It's not old lady. You know, they're slightly aged, right? The two older sisters are coming to St. Louis. I got myself in trouble, didn't I? Let me try and get out of this. They're leaving Santa Fe on their way to St. Louis, and they're retired, and they're enjoying each other's company. And it's two sisters who are going to be on a road trip, and they're swinging by. And it's nice because they're retired, and so they have a couple bucks in their pocket, so they're able to do whatever it is they want to do. And could they fly? Sure. Could they drive? Yeah. Could they take the time and sort of smell the roses a little bit? That's what they're doing. And that's what you want to do in retirement, right? I'm not jealous. I'm just really happy that they're happy because they're my sisters, right? And so when it comes to retirement, you want to make sure you put yourself in that position so you can smell the roses and not have to worry about where the next nickel's coming from and not worry about your financial house. That's where Kevin Lloyd comes in, because Kevin Lloyd will give you a true financial plan, includes, and most importantly, forward-thinking tax advice. This is what the big boys do, but no one ever explains it to us, the middle class, the working stiff, the people who have toiled at our jobs for 30, 40 years, and each and every paycheck we put a little bit of money away to save. They give us a little bit of a tax break, and then at some point we're going to have to take it out. And when we take it out, they're going to tax us up the tree, if you will. But if you take the money out correctly, you can avoid paying some serious taxes. But no one ever teaches us that. That's where Kevin Lloyd comes in. He comes with a true financial plan. Will incorporate your Social Security, your taxes on your Social Security, so they're reduced and or eliminated, your investments, your taxes, your health insurance, your Medicare, your Medicaid, all of that is part of a financial plan because it's all attached to your taxes. And that's where Kevin Lloyd comes in, so that you can enjoy your retirement and go to Santa Fe and head your way to St. Louis. 314-641-1010 or the website whenretirementhappens.com. From the Country Club Car Wash text line, what a ridiculously horrible and stupid thing to say about Gene Hackman. What's the point of that? I typically love your show, but what the heck? All right, from the Country Club Car Wash text line. Captain Paul Kopsky in the St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Good morning.
Good morning, McGraw. There's a stalled tractor trailer blocking the two right lanes of northbound 55 at Park and 7th with the stop and go back up to the 44-55 Gravois merge. Northbound 270 is running at less than 30 miles per hour from 44 to 64. It's a 16-minute ride from 270 and Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Northbound 55 is crowded around Bayless. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down from McKnight to Big Bend. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange, causing a slowdown. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk weather, because it's going to be a carbon copy of the last 6 weeks. Hazy, hot, and humid. We're going to touch 90 today. Overnight tonight, the low of 70. Thursday and Friday, we're going to be 90 tomorrow, and then mid to upper 90s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with not really any chance of any rain. 74 right now down at the Arch at 8:32. Let's go back to the newsroom. Here's Rose Dalton.
Vietnam is launching its biggest economic overhaul in a generation, aiming to become Asia's next tiger economy. The Communist Party calls it a new era with reforms focused on tech, green energy, infrastructure, and unleashing private sector growth. Billionaire SpaceX, Tesla, and ex-owner Elon Musk says he plans to sue Apple for not featuring X and its Grok artificial intelligence chatbot app in its top recommended apps in its App Store. Musk posted the comment on X saying, quote, "Hey, Apple App Store, why do you refuse to put either X or Grok in your must-have section when X is the #1 news app in the world and Grok is number 5 among all apps?" End quote. The city of St. Louis has its first mountain bike trail, a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new trail in Carondelet Park. It's Senior Appreciation Day at the Missouri State Fair. Seniors will receive a discounted admission today, along with discounts at select concessions and vendors. 76 degrees. Time now is 8:33. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Frank Cusimano and Jill Farmer, weekdays 10 to noon, right here on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. Summer may be winding down, but that means the great weather is moving in. Time to get the convertibles, motorcycles, and sports cars out. We're selling them at a brisk pace. As a result, we need to buy even more of them. You have a very clean, classic, collectible, convertible, sports car, or even an everyday car you want to sell. How about an entire collection? We'll buy it all. And if we're buying them, of course, we sell them too. Check out our site for some of the finest hand-picked vehicles for sale in the country. Ours are that good. Give us a look. It'll be worth your time.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event. Don't miss the upcoming NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Cup Series, Enjoy Illinois 300, and the NHRA Midwest Nationals, all happening in September. The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.raceway.com.
Experience your banking your way with Royal Banks of Missouri's interactive teller machines. No matter rain or shine, hot or cold, our friendly staff is there to provide real-time assistance through a live virtual session on our machines, even during evenings and Saturdays. Visit an interactive teller machine at any Royal Banks location and just tap the screen to enjoy convenient, secure banking support. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC and equal housing lender. Bob Ramsey for AAA Home Services, a local, family-owned and family-run American Standard heating and air conditioning platinum dealer that's been keeping St. Louis comfortable and safe for 55 years. They service all brands, so schedule them to service your AC before it gets too hot. And if you need a new system, they'll give you a fair and honest estimate on American Standard, voted #1 by Consumer Reports. You'll get the best pricing and tax credits of 2025. Call AAA at 636-397-3200, online at AAASTL.com. Call AAA. We're on our way.
Now, back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
.836 here. Randy Carricker joins us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Good morning, Randy Carricker.
Hi, McGraw. Good to have you with us, or good to be with you. Good morning, sir.
Let's talk about Brady Cook. Apparently, he was carted off the field, but apparently it was a minor injury. Everything should be all right.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. And you remember, he had the ankle injury last year for Mizzou. That would be kind of my concern if I were a Jets fan like you are, or if I were the Jets. I want to just double-check the structure of that ankle. But, man, he played well in his first appearance for the Jets. And I really think, and I do think that he needs a year to become an NFL quarterback. But I think he has the skill set and the mentality to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. But, yeah, don't worry about the injury right now. Very minor.
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday. Somebody said it was only preseason, and I said, "Hey, that's the only season that the Jets fans really can root for." So that was all good. So don't take away my joy in the preseason.
McGraw, you remember with the St. Louis Rams after the greatest show on turf, our Super Bowl was draft day.
Good point. All very good. Another Missouri former Mizzou Tiger who's getting the news is Michael Porter, and we know his brother Jonte has been banned from the NBA for gambling, and his brother comes out and makes a statement, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically says, hey, you know what? If I can tell some of my buddies that, hey, I won't play tonight, bet big on the game, and I can give my buddies some inside information to win on gambling, so be it. I mean, shocking that he would say that, considering his brother has been banned from the NBA.
And in context, he did mention that his brother got caught up, and he said it would be a bad thing. But he could understand why, if you came from a bad neighborhood, he said, hey, you make some money for some of your homies. His point was, I can see how somebody would be drawn into this. He also said, I would never do it. And he did point out that his brother has been banned for life by the NBA. But I can see it too, McGraw. I could see players being drawn into this, especially if they can help out a few of their friends and family members. And I can definitely see, because we already have seen it in the NBA, I can see officials and umpires being drawn into this. And look at the two guys from the Cleveland Indians that are under investigation for throwing balls on first pitches of innings. You had Emmanuel Clase, the Guardians closer, and then Ortiz, the other pitcher. Both of them just trying to help out people just by one prop bet, throwing a really bad pitch on the first pitch of an inning. And I can definitely see how players think, and they aren't thinking about the consequences. They think, oh, I'll never get caught. And they have the belief that, hey, I can just help out a buddy, and it really is not going to cost anybody anything. But obviously it is. And the other thing is that there are integrity firms out there that are watching all of this stuff. So every player needs to know now that they are being watched like a hawk by these integrity firms and people like FanDuel, people like DraftKings. They know if somebody from a league is betting from within one of their facilities or one of their stadiums, and they find everybody who's betting.
You know, a couple of things that are interesting to that apparently, so the major league sports are saying, whoa, hold on a second. We've got these people who are hired specifically to make sure the integrity of our leagues are pure. They didn't do that when drugs were running rampant through the leagues, right?
I'm not sure. I think the integrity firms might be working with the bookies, for lack of a better term. I think they're working with the FanDuel and DraftKings, and then FanDuel and DraftKings get in touch with the league. So I guess they're all working together. But to your point, was there anybody that was, when Mark McGwire was going into GNC and buying Andros Steamdion, was anybody watching them for integrity?
Right.
And granted, there was a rule against it at the time, but I understand your point. Was when Barry Bonds was working with the firm out in the Bay Area, Balco, was there anybody keeping an eye on him? No, there wasn't. So, yeah, I guess it's just a matter of how does it affect our money from the league's standpoint?
And not only the steroid era, but even the Keith Hernandez and the drug trial in Pittsburgh and the cocaine fury of baseball and whatever else, right? I mean, how come they didn't take into account the integrity of the game when half their players were dabbling with cocaine? I mean, and I get it. I get it. It's the 21st century. I just think that with all of this gambling and every single day, right? There was a story of that Oklahoma quarterback who was making jokes on his Venmo account about gambling, and now he has to come out and say that's not true. Well, who do you believe? How do you believe it? When do you believe it? I don't see this stopping any time, and I see it just getting worse. And I think even though they're trying, I think the professional sports teams and everybody else are just putting their head into the sand, and it's going to get much worse.
I agree, and not only that, but it is quite hypocritical on the part of the leagues to be in bed with every team, and every league is in bed with one of these platforms, one of these companies. So the Cardinals have Bet365 signs all over the place. The leagues have DraftKings and FanDuel and whomever, but then they say, well, our players can't partake in this. We want all of our fans to be gambling on our games, but our players can't bet on any other sports. I think that's pretty hypocritical on the part of the leagues.
Well, and to see how far we've gone, remember when, was it Bowie Kuhn who banned Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays for being greeters at a casino?
Yeah.
They were banned from baseball for being greeters.
Yep, and same thing with Paul Hornung and Alex Karras in the NFL in the 60s, because they had an association. They were suspended without pay as players for a whole year. So, what they did wasn't nearly as egregious as what these players that we're talking about, who have affected or perhaps affected outcomes of games, have done. It's really amazing to me that we have reached this point. And like you said, McGraw, it's going to get worse before it gets better, because there's going to be a lot more money involved, and there's going to be players that, a player that's making $50,000 in college in NIL money gets offered $200,000 by somebody to make a score lower so that the game goes under. You know it's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll throw this pitch. I'll miss this free throw.
Yeah.
I'll miss this extra point because I'll take care of you, buddy, and you're off and running. Randy, we'll leave it there. Have yourself a good day. When can we read you? When can we see you?
McGraw, I'm on every morning at 7 o'clock on Matrix Midwest with The Fight. It's an hour-long TV show. It's a radio show on TV. And then I also have a podcast on STL Sports Central every day on YouTube. Just go to STL Sports Central and look for The Randy Carricker Show. And I really appreciate that.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you on Friday. Have a good day.
You too, McGraw. See ya. Bye.
Cardinals get shut out last night by the Rockies. The final score was the Cardinals nothing, and the Rockies more than one. It was 3-0 was the total. So in terms of standings, the Cardinals are now. Let's go to the wild card because the Central Division is a little depressing. They're 4 back in the wild card. As for the division, the Brewers have the best record in baseball, 75-14. They've won 11 in a row. This is their second time this year they've won 11 games in a row. The Brewers are the model franchise. So talking Friday more about the Cardinals. I think the Yankees are coming to town. Aren't the Yankees coming to town?
They are.
Yeah. So
the Cardinals are promoting that the Yankees are coming to town rather than that the Cardinals are here.
There was 20,000 people. There were 20,000 tickets sold the other night for a game. I don't know how many people showed up, but 20,000 tickets were sold. 8:45 here, Big 550 KTRS.
Let's do this first.
St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Here's Captain Paul.
McGraw's stalled tractor trailer is still blocking the 2 right lanes of northbound 55 at Park and 7th. It's causing a backup on 44 to Grand, and the estimated clearance time is 9 o'clock this morning. Northbound 270 is running at less than 30 miles per hour from 44 to 64. It's a 14-minute ride from 270 and Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down from Clayton Road to Big Bend. And we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
From the Woods Basement Systems Weather Desk, local experts for basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and more. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
Much lower rain chance on Wednesday, about 10 to 20% chance for a spot storm in the afternoon or early evening. A high of 88, very near normal, still a bit muggy though, and a near normal day on Thursday, mostly sunny with a high of 89. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text LEGAL66 to 323232. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Now, back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well. 13 years ago, this man was walking out the door. Instead, he got a call from the Archdiocese and said, hey, can you help us with this high school, St. Mary's Catholic High School on Grand? And he said, okay. And boy, you blink your eyes 13 years later, Mike England, you sure have changed the world a little bit.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride. God had a plan, and I'm excited to continue to see where it continues to take us.
The big news yesterday, you held a news conference saying that you or the organization or the board or who ended up buying St. Mary's High School for the building and lot?
Our 501c3 Southside Education Collaborative, which also does business as St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School, purchased the property, closed on the property from the Archdiocese, and we are now the 100% owners of our property and our destiny.
It's pretty remarkable because how many years ago did the Archdiocese say we can no longer fund St. Mary's High School?
September 26, 2022 at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
So almost 4 years ago.
No, less than 3.
Less than 3 years ago. Okay, yeah.
We did this in less than 3 years. Unbelievable.
So you didn't do this by yourself, obviously.
Oh, gosh, no.
And take us through this latest news, because I know it was in the works. I know you were working on it. It's extraordinary for all sorts of reasons. But take us through the backstory. What happened?
Well, I think it all started about a year and a half ago. Our gym roof failed. And, I called the Archdiocese and I said, just want to let you know that gym roof failed. And the response was, well, that's too bad. But as per the terms of the lease agreement, it's on your dime. That's what he said. And I knew that. And it, we pulled it out of my desk. It was $235,000. And we had the money, but we didn't have the money.
Right.
But we had to fix it. And this is I'll add this to the God story. Went to the board, and the board's like, we got to fix it. Go do it. 3 days later, I got a phone call from an alum who said, heard about the roof, love what you're doing, want to help. I'm dropping a check for $235,000 in the mail tomorrow to take care of the roof. God bless him, but God,
right?
It's God.
Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, we realized we don't even have insurance on anything. We're responsible for fixing everything, but we don't have insurance on anything. So we need to own everything. Then we can insure it, and then we can cover ourselves when these type of things happen. So we started on this journey, this negotiation with the Archdiocese. We went back and forth for a while. There's the COO of the Archdiocese, a lady by the name of Delaney Clement. I sat down with her one-on-one, and she just could not have been more helpful and more understanding of why we needed to do this, to do the mission that we had. So we were able to negotiate a number that we could make work. And part of the reason we could make it work is because, another of these angels that God keeps bringing to me was Neil Richardson from the city of St. Louis. Neil put me in touch with a group out of Chicago called IFF, Illinois Funders Foundation. And they are a nonprofit, and they lend money to nonprofits that are in major cities serving youth. And we applied, and they happily accepted us. So they not only provided the financing for us to purchase the property, we also added to that another $300,000 because we needed a new cafeteria roof.
Right.
And so that was all a part of the process as well. So we have a 20-year mortgage now, and but things are Extremely, extremely better.
So the news just broke yesterday. So it's been less than 24 hours, or almost 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, what has been the response?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, my phone has just been blowing up. I'll tell you this. I said this to my wife, Lucy. We were talking about this the other day. I said, you know what, Luce? The reaction to this has been such that I really think the majority of people out there didn't think there was a chance in the world that we could make this happen.
Yeah.
I really think that. People used to say, you can do it, you can do it. And then I think they walked away and they went, he's not going to do that. And so I think that the reaction yesterday was one of way to go and happy, but also a bit of shock that this little school on the south side was able to go up, I guess, with the Archdiocese and make this happen.
Well, what's amazing is the history of St. Mary's has been around for coming up on 100 years. You've got a legendary list of famous people and non-famous people, and as I say, you've made a whole lot of millionaires and a couple of billionaires along the way.
Yes, we have.
And but it's always been a working class Catholic school. It's always been there to help the working class. It's in the community. It's an anchor. Since you've taken it over as an independent, you've seen your enrollment increase.
Yes.
You've cut deals with unions to sort of help you come in. Yes. And so talk about the last 3 years and how it's been transformed.
Well, I think what we understood is if we were going to move forward independent of the Archdiocese, what do they say? The definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We had to evolve, and we had to evolve in a way that allowed us to be more. Because we are the anchor in that neighborhood, but just being a school isn't enough.
Right.
And we were already doing the St. Joseph Housing Initiative, which is good, but adding this other piece, adding this piece of this partnership with the unions and the pre-apprenticeship program and the trades, has always been for us of how do we build this? We build this in a way that our school is this entity that is addressing the poverty, the lack of opportunity, and the lack of education that exists in the city of St. Louis. Because until that is addressed, nothing's going to change. And so each and every day we look for ways to do those three things. And I think now that we have this independence of the Archdiocese and that we own this property, this gives us the flexibility. McGraw, I'm going to be coming back in, maybe soon to let you know some other partnerships that we're working on, because we have all along had this idea and vision for what we can bring to our Dutchtown neighborhood. And if we can bring these support systems, the greatly increased stabilization that we can create in that neighborhood, that I think can emanate out in many ways and really start to go against, that narrative of the city that everybody likes to buy into.
There's been well documented the troubles with St. Louis City schools, and while everyone's hoping the city's schools get their sort of act together, are you seeing parents knocking on your door saying, "Hey, look, you're an alternative to the St. Louis City schools because I can't get them to school. I might as well get them to St. Mary's, and it's $11,000." Which most of the kids are on scholarship. Talk about what you're hearing from some of the parents on the front lines as these kids sort of come in and take a look at St. Mary's.
Well, I think, the parents that we have, greatly appreciate the quality of the education that their sons are receiving. I think what we're being able to do a little bit better is to communicate to the greater community, and especially to families that live in the city, that we'll find a way to make it work. Our mission does not revolve around, full-pay students. I would love to have them.
Sure.
But, that's not the mission. So I got to go out and raise a whole lot of money to make this work. But I can tell you this, an investment in St. Mary's and in the students that we work with is an investment in strengthening our city of St. Louis through education.
Right.
Because our young men receive a highly accredited education. Our young men now have this great pathway to the trades. I'll give you my stat that I used yesterday. Of our graduating class last year, 39% of our graduates are this year going to a 4-year college. 33% are going to a 2-year college. But 25% are either attending Rankin Technical College or entering a first-year apprenticeship because of our pre-apprenticeship program in the trades. Now, that's a tremendous stat.
It's a track record you put up with any school in the region.
Absolutely. I mean, because, again, college is not the only pathway. And again, to Stan Schown, CEO of Rankin Technical College, 8 years ago, I had a meeting with him, and he said, Mike, there's not a shortage of jobs in St. Louis. There's a shortage of people trained to do those jobs. And I went, that's it. That's what we can do. And that's what we're continuing to do now. And now owning this property is going to allow us, please God, to grow this in a way that can provide greater support for our community.
I got a minute 30. How's the football team look?
We're going to be really good this year. I'm telling you, I've been seeing stuff going out that people have been putting out, and they are sleeping on what we have going on. We've got some amazing football players. They're
two-time state champs, right? 21 and 22.
Yeah, and in the midst of an announcement that they were going to close the school. My son's a he writes screenplays, and he's talking about writing a screenplay about St. Mary's High School and
remember the Dragons, man, right?
I mean,
that's as good as it gets.
That's what it was. This is a movie. So if anybody wants to work on this movie, please let me know. It might be a way for me to fund this education for our community.
How's the basketball team going to look?
Going to be very good. Brian Turner is an excellent coach, and we've got some really good young players. The exciting thing is, our enrollment this year is going up 17%. We've got 80 freshmen coming in this year.
Beautiful.
And we've only got 35 seniors this year because that's our last all things new class, I call them.
Yeah.
So when they graduate, we follow that up with another 80. We're going to be close to 300 students next year.
It's a wonderful story. Thank goodness you stayed in town 13 years ago. Mike England, you're always welcome here. Thanks for checking in. Continue doing God's work. Good stuff.
Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Oh, my goodness. It's fun to watch. It's been fun to watch. Coming up, 9 o'clock here, Big 550 KTRS. We'll check traffic on the other side. It's 9 o'clock, KTRS St. Louis.
Mizzou football.
It's a rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The nation's latest deadly encounter with violent weather taking place in Chattanooga, Tennessee. A mother, father, and child were all killed when a tree fell on their car amid heavy rain and flooding. Flash flooding prompted rescues of people stuck in homes and swamped cars on Tuesday. The region bracing for more rainfall today. Several people have been killed in rip currents along the East Coast this week, and there could be even more of those in the coming days as Tropical Storm Erin churns in the Atlantic. We're also learning more about what Texas officials were telling each other amid the hill country downpours that killed more than 130 people over the 4th of July.
Central Texas is in the throes of a years-long drought, and when the rain started falling early July 4th, an official with the Guadalupe River Authority wrote on a group text, quote, "Wow, it's a beautiful thing." Later, he and others saw disaster unfolding. Apparently realizing that the text and emails might one day become public, the general manager wrote, "We will have to be careful with our messaging and be respectful of the devastation." Jim Ryan, ABC News.
As President Trump and President Putin prepare to meet in Alaska on Friday to talk about Ukraine, today the president and vice president will hold virtual talks with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders. As for the Friday Alaska summit, White House officials are already lowering expectations, says ABC's Patrick Reevell.
President Trump and the White House have already been downplaying that any deal is going to come out of this summit. We've heard from the White House saying it's essentially a listening exercise for President Trump. And of course, I think that's going to cause a lot of concern in Europe, who are worried about what President Trump will hear and what he will consider to be reasonable coming out of this.
National Guard now patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C., having fired the entire board of directors. The president heads to the Kennedy Center today. On Tuesday, he referred to the facility as the Trump Kennedy Center. This is ABC News.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger, Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What is your next success story? At University of Maryland Global Campus, you can succeed again with more than 135 affordable online degrees and certificates to help you move your career forward. From cybersecurity and AI to healthcare and MBA, our programs help you build critical thinking, leadership, and communication skills that set you apart in today's job market. Apply now and save with no application fee through September 3rd. Visit umgc.edu to get started. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Israeli forces have approved the government's plan to ramp up operations in and around Gaza City. That as more than a dozen hostages are still being held by Hamas. ABC's Jordana Miller is in Jerusalem.
Let us have no illusions what Hamas is doing to the hostages. They are being starved. So would they survive being moved in a combat situation? This is why the families are irate. They do not want the Israeli army to go in there. But Netanyahu is, he's intent on this plan.
Wildfires burning across Europe amid another heat wave.
Major wildfires are burning in at least 6 European countries as temperatures soar across the continent. Officials in Greece say 82 fires broke out in the last day. One fire near the major port city of Patras forced the evacuation of at least a dozen villages. Several fires are burning near Madrid, along with Portugal, Albania, Montenegro, and France.
ABC's Rhiannon Alley. Police in Pennsylvania still looking for the two men who held up a Brinks truck outside Philly, making off with about $800,000 in cash. Both men armed and dangerous, says Cheltenham Police Lieutenant Andy Snyder.
A scenario like this is very, very dangerous when there's firearms involved. Could be, somebody in the area that doesn't see what's going on, gets involved in a gunfight. So we're definitely concerned this could escalate to somebody getting seriously injured.
Eastman Kodak says its business is in, quote, substantial doubt. It's set to get rid of its pension plan to raise money. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
78 degrees at 9:05. A more comprehensive review of prospective law enforcement officers prior to hiring will be required under a new Illinois law spearheaded by State Senator Doris Turner in response to the shooting death of Sonia Massey. Turner joined Governor J.B. Pritzker, members of the Massey family, and state and local leaders at the bill signing on Tuesday. The new law will take effect in Illinois on January 1st of 2026. St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School will stay open. During a press conference yesterday, school leaders announced that St. Mary's has purchased the 23-acre property and all buildings from the Archdiocese, securing its home in Dutchtown. The nearly 100-year-old school was at risk of closing. Back in June of 2022, the Archdiocese announced intentions of closing the school due to declining enrollment and financial concerns. This led to efforts to keep the school open. According to school leaders, the support of the St. Louis region and many partners, enrollment has grown and allowed the school to provide new opportunities for students. This includes partnerships with local trade unions offering pre-apprenticeship college credits and internships with SSM Health Trades professionals. Missouri and Illinois are among 35 states receiving funding to build and improve ferry boat service. That announcement came yesterday from U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. The funding can be used to construct and operate the boats, terminals, and maintenance facilities for ferry boats carrying cars and passengers only if service is on a public route where it's not feasible to build a bridge or tunnel. Missouri will receive $200,000 and more than $4 million will go to Illinois. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. You can place your order anytime at WKF.com. Now for the market report, the Dow is up 380 points to 44,900. The S&P is up 28 points to 6,500. And the NASDAQ is up 79 points to 21,800. In KTRS Sports, the Cardinals were blanked by the Rockies 3-0. Matthew Liberatore took the loss as he was only able to go 4 innings. St. Louis City SC heads back out on the road this week to take on Chicago Fire. City has not won away from Energizer Park since early March. In KTRS Time Saver Traffic. Let's go to the KTRS St. Louis Plaza Company Traffic Center for a look at the roads where you find Captain Paul Kopsky standing by.
Rose moving road work has the left lane of westbound 70 at Lindbergh blocked with traffic slow back to Cypress. A crash on northbound 270 before 64 is off on the right shoulder. A stalled tractor trailer is still blocking the 2 right lanes of northbound 55 at Park and 7th. It's causing a backup on 44 to Grand. Northbound 270 is still slow from Big Bend to 64. Westbound 64 busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down around 170, and we have repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS St. Louis Plaza Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. In KTRS weather today, a mix of sun and clouds and a chance of rain with a high of 89. Cloudy tonight with showers possible and an overnight low of 70. And tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high near 90. 78 degrees right now at 9:09. I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Inland Marine Boats in Barnhart has been serving your boating needs for 38 years. Hi, I'm Ryan at Inland Marine, your Mercury Marine dealer. Remember, you only get 18 summers with your kids. Make the most of them with a boat. InlandMarineBoats.com.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newsletter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with the mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on-site at Newsletter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis. This is the McGraw Show on KTRS.
Hey, it's 9:12 here at Big 550 KTRS. Let's get right to it. Les Sturman is a citizen of downtown St. Louis, and a couple of years ago, he started an organization called Citizens for a Greater Downtown St. Louis. Les, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Happy to be here. Thanks
You
for
were
having me.
you were a Post-Dispatch reporter for a while, correct? Is that right?
No.
No.
Yeah, you got me confused with somebody else.
Sorry. What was your day job before all this?
I was the executive director of the East-West Gateway Council of Governments for about 26 years.
Which doesn't get a lot of credit, but the East-West Gateway Council, that's one of those organizations you hear about, but a lot of people don't know about. It's actually a very well-run organization that works together, the East and the West, to come up and use their power to go and get grants and things like that to sort of help the region, right?
Yeah, essentially, it's an
Good
organization that was formed a number of years ago, back in the 1960s, actually, to try to get our local governments to work together on things that interests that they share in common. Which is, as you might imagine, kind of a tough job between Illinois and Missouri and urban and suburban and rural and Republican and Democrat.
It's been a pretty good track record over the years, though. It's done a lot of good.
Yeah, we've done a few things. I would have liked to have been a little more successful in my tenure, but because most of the things that East-West Gateway does, they have no authority other than the power of persuasion to get people to work together, which is kind of tough in St. Louis.
Sure. You live downtown?
I do.
And you started this organization, Citizens for a Greater Downtown STL, and you do a lot of tweeting and a lot of Facebooking, I guess. The latest thing I saw was you've been posting a couple of videos of what looked to be zombies walking the streets of downtown, and you're sort of pointing out that there's a couple of establishments, businesses down there that's helping or hurting or creating this sort of zombie problem. What's going on?
Well, first of all, a number of us formed this organization several years ago because we didn't like the trajectory of downtown at the time, and we thought that the leadership wasn't doing the kinds of things to make a great downtown, which every region needs. We've been trying to call attention to different issues that occur downtown and try to get the city to act and the civic establishment to act on them. Not always successfully, but one of the things we do use is social media to try to get attention on some of these matters. So the issue that you're referring to is we brought up there was a vape shop that opened on 10th Street in downtown, and this vape shop and similar places are selling substances that are intoxicating and that can be with not much effort made far more intoxicating and psychoactive. And that's attracted, drug dealers and other folks in downtown, selling fentanyl and other substances. So centered around this vape shop is basically an open-air drug market, and it's really victimizing a lot of folks. You saw the pictures of people just laying nearly comatose in the street in 98-degree heat. Just laying on the sidewalk in the street. And we've been trying to call attention to this for a couple of months and have put a lot of videos and pictures online. And hopefully we'll get some attention now.
To give people a sense of where this vape shop is, it's sort of like on the back side of the old AT&T tower, right? Is that...
Yeah, it's right across the street, essentially.
Like on the corner side of the AT&T building, which is a block away from Keener Plaza.
Yeah.
More or less, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's a couple of blocks away. And, there's a great local bar, Jack Patrick's, that's next door that used to have an outdoor patio where people would congregate and hang out. A lot of us from downtown would hang out there. They've had to close it because of this situation.
Let's talk about what they're selling. What they're selling is quasi-legal, legal. It's that gray area. It's like this bath salts or some variation thereof, and they've tried to ban it, but it's still legal. It's very sort of gray area, right? Or not a gray area, but people haven't cracked down on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, I don't really understand all of this, but it's a subject called THCA, a product called THCA. And, somehow when hemp got legalized, this created this gray area. The Attorney General doesn't feel it's legal. The legislature has tried to pass laws regulating this, but the industry has a pretty strong lobby. It's sold in gas stations and vape shops and other places.
Is this vape shop been around a while, or is this relatively new?
Relatively new, last year or so.
I'm shocked that, what has been the response since you started sort of ringing this bell? What is City Hall saying? What's your alderman saying?
Well, the alderman is now, after the recent publicity, does want to shut them down. There's been a bill introduced in the Board of Aldermen to regulate these substances so they can only be sold in regulated marijuana dispensaries. I mean, this is a completely unregulated product.
Yeah. Was your old alderman Kara Spencer, or was that not part of her downtown?
No, it was Rasheen
area?
Aldridge.
Yeah. This substance not just sells at this vape shop, it sells all over the region, right? I mean, they sell it all over the place.
Yeah, it's sold in gas stations and quick shops.
Yeah.
And other places.
Yeah. Your overall efforts, I mean, I applaud your efforts. I applaud your energy. I applaud the organization trying to call attention to these things. Have you been able to have some successes in the past?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously we work with the police, but a lot of this is not really a law enforcement problem. It's a regulatory issue. It has to do with liquor licensing and building codes and things like that we really need the support of the city. We get it sometimes and sometimes we don't. But I think we've made a difference. Clearly, we've stopped some folks that we thought were problems from getting liquor licenses. You may recall the infamous Rain nightclub that we had to work for a long time to get them finally closed down after all sorts of violence and problems.
Yeah. The downtown has taken a hit. Obviously, it is what it is, but the pandemic really hurt the city of St. Louis. If I'm looking at this as a regional issue, the pandemic hurt downtown probably worse than any other place in the region. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true. We started the double whammy. It was the pandemic and also the recession in 2008. We moved downtown in 2005, and things were really booming then. Lofts were selling like crazy. But then the air went out of the balloon in the recession, and then you're right, the pandemic just wreaked havoc on downtown.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, people were working from home, so they weren't going downtown to their jobs. So the jobs either the people stayed away or the jobs went away. That means you didn't go out for lunch. That means you didn't go out and have a drink after dinner. That meant you didn't go to the ball game. That meant, right? I mean, it was just a sort of a cycle of doom, if you will. And the city, I'm not blaming anybody, it's been hard to come back because the world changed and people don't go to the office the way they used to.
Yeah, that's right. And, this is true not only of St. Louis, but of most major cities around the country. I think we've been slow to react and respond. We have a variety of civic and business organizations that don't necessarily work together very well. And so we just really haven't done the things that are necessary. During the pandemic, downtown became a playground, really, for late-night activity.
Yeah.
We didn't clamp down on that as quickly as we should have.
Do you see any bright spots? Do you see any roses coming up through the cracks? Any flowers coming up?
Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't be living there if we didn't see that. Downtown is still a great place. I mean, we can walk to the grocery store, walk to the movies, dry cleaners, walk to all the sporting venues, and our local park is a national park. So, it's really a great place to live. We've recently had some really good developers, local developers, come in and take over some of the problem properties and really start filling them up again with people. So yeah, there's absolutely a lot of hope, but we need the support. We need the support of the city, city agencies, the civic community, and
are you getting that? Are you starting to get that from City Hall now that Kara Spencer's taken over?
I'd like to think so. I mean, the mayor has said the right things. She's been a friend for a long time, and obviously she represented parts of downtown in the past. Obviously, it's been a tough time getting a new administration going, and the tornado has really thrown a monkey wrench into everything. But I have confidence that over the long term.
Couple of things that's going on downtown. They talk about this Millennium Hotel that's going to be transformed. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be, I don't know, 5, 6, who knows how long. But you see that's got to be a positive for you, right? I mean, or no?
Yeah, obviously, if it happens, and I think that's even at this stage is still a pretty big if. But the problem over the years that St. Louis has depended on mega projects to, save downtown, whether it's the various stadiums, the ballpark village, and really what we need is activity on the streets. We need Washington Avenue thriving again like it once was. We need to keep out problem businesses so that people want to live there. When people want to live there, they'll want to work there too, and the employers will come back. So I look at this, the smaller things and the smaller developers doing the great things with some of the historic buildings downtown. That's what's really going to make the difference. It's
interesting. You talk about the St. Louis and the sort of grand slam approach. It's not just Ballpark Village. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Arch. Right? I mean, the Arch was going to save downtown, and then it was the new Busch Stadium, and then it was the next Busch Stadium, and then it was Washington Avenue, and then it was, right? I mean, I don't want to blame, but I mean, there's been this home run grand slam mentality. Once we build an Arch, that'll save downtown. Right. I mean, you're always looking for the silver bullet that's going to, quote, save downtown, and I've lived through all of them, as you have, and again, that's not what, those things are important, but in a lot of cases, they create what we call islands that are basically self-interested. I mean, when Ballpark Village opened, Washington Avenue became, largely vacant as a result. We had robbed Peter to pay Paul. Yeah, so, there's always so much economic energy to go around, and, it's... building something like a great downtown is a long-term project, and it's property by property and street by street. And I think we have to stop looking for that home run, that silver bullet. The state taking over the police department, positive or a negative or a non-story? I think it's kind of a non-story from our standpoint. I think the police have done a pretty good job downtown with some fairly limited resources. I think that's one of the big problems. They just don't have the resources. And I don't know that the state or the city running it necessarily is going to increase those resources that much. Yeah. The Geospatial Mapping Agency, is it the next home run? Is this a real game changer? Or is this just another one of these great ideas that will be an island unto itself? I think it's an important piece, one of many. It's the spin-off businesses that locate downtown, I think, that are going to be the difference maker, hopefully. But time will tell on that. Well, you mentioned the spin-offs. The Twitter has the old Post-Dispatch building. Then the old Globe Democrat building, I believe, is filled up with tech companies. I think it doesn't have any vacancies of tech companies who are already coming to town and or incubators or starting that are already working with or planning to work with the geospatial agency. So, I mean, we're starting to see some of those seeds. Yeah, I mean, the Globe building is an incredible building. Most people won't get to see it, but they've got some great businesses, and the design of it is fantastic. Same with the Post building. Where Block is, they're downsizing, but but it's always a struggle to keep these buildings filled. And when we take reputational hits like we do with that vape shop story, that really hurts attracting new employers. Do you get criticized when you post a video like that? Do you get criticized for shining a negative light on the city, and how dare you talk bad about our city like that? That's a really great question. We've had a lot of discussions about that. Obviously, we want downtown to have a great reputation. So calling attention to problems is sometimes,
counterproductive. But after a while, it gets so frustrating. We started having this same conversation when the Rain nightclub was open. But at some point, it's like an alcoholic. You've got to recognize the problem and deal with it. That's the first.
Yeah. I could see a lot of people being, why don't you just leave this alone? Let's just walk past it and not even look at it. But you got to acknowledge that it's hurting other businesses, and you can't help solve downtown unless you solve downtown. And one of the problems is no one's going to come to these places where you've got zombies passed out. It's just not a look you want to give. And by you pointing out, hopefully you'll end up solving the problem in some way, shape, or form.
That's the hope. I mean, we'd like to be talking only about good news, and there's a fair amount of that. But you've got to deal with these things. Otherwise, you'll never be able to create a great downtown.
Are people coming back? Are businesses coming back? Or is it going to be, what do you see? You live there every day.
Yeah, I think slowly that's happening. A lot of businesses are requiring their employees to come back to work now. You can tell, the parking lots are starting to fill up again. But it's a slow process. And frankly, I look at downtown first and foremost as a great residential neighborhood. When we fill those buildings up with residents and people who want to be downtown, and people who want to work downtown, that's going to be the key long term.
One of the problems with the downtown residencies, since they weren't vacant, they were turned into Airbnb parties. Have they turned the corner on that at all, or where are we with that whole nightmare?
Yeah, that was another issue that we complained about a lot. The city did pass a bill to regulate short-term rentals. That's been put on hold due to some court action. Wasn't the strongest bill to begin with, but calling attention to it and dealing with some of the landlords that were renting to folks that they shouldn't be, that has the problem has been abated. I won't say it's gone away, but it's been abated somewhat.
Yeah, all right. Les Sturman with Citizens for a Greater Downtown St. Louis, a place for people they can always follow you on X or Twitter, right? You're out there on everything else. Anything else you want people to know before we let you go?
No, as I said, I think downtown has the potential to be a great downtown. In some ways it already is, and it kind of deserves a second look.
Yeah. Les, you keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep putting you on and keep telling the other story. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. 9:30 here at Big 550 KTRS. Captain Paul Kopsky in the St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Take it away.
McGraw Moving Roadwork has the left lane of westbound 70 at Lindbergh blocked with traffic slow back to Cypress. And there's repair work on westbound 5570 between Illinois 203 and Exchange. This traffic report is brought to you by Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist. Replacing your HVAC system is going to be a hassle. That's a myth. Get a $300 Aldon rebate off a new Daikin Fit furnace and pay as little as $273 per month. Plus, receive additional utility rebates if eligible. Visit al-don.com. From the KTRS St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
A weekend at home or a weekend RVing? Staring at your neighbor's security lights or counting stars? Watching the Travel Channel or sitting around the campfire with friends? Break away. Get out of town in an RV from Byerly in Eureka.
For the rest of your life, you gotta be there. Byerly RV.
It's Julie Buck here for AAA Travel. Let's talk about their featured vacations. Exclusive AAA Travel curated trips that offer unique travel opportunities, value, experiences that are not usually available off the shelf with other travel agencies or providers. One of the many featured vacation experiences offer a unique side of Italy on a guided tour featuring the treasures of Rome and stunning beauty of the Amalfi Coast. One-of-a-kind experiences with amazing savings. You're going to love this. For more, go to AAA.com/featured vacation.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at SchneiderJobs.com.
Call the closer with Lauren Risley Realty.
First day on the market, we had multiple offers. They were definitely on top of things, but we loved working with them. They made it so easy for us.
All you need to know about real estate and more.
I am Lauren Risley. I'm here with my right-hand man, Adam Bundren. Every Sunday at 1 o'clock, you'll be hearing from us a full 1-hour show on all things real estate.
Call the closer with Lauren Risley Realty every Sunday afternoon at 1. Powered by Homestead Financial Mortgage on the Big 550 KTRS. Now back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
9:33 here, Big 550 KTRS. We should note that was Les Sturman, who is used to run the East-West Gateway Council and now is a community organizer, for lack of a better word. He runs an organization called Citizens for a Greater Downtown St. Louis, and he put together a bunch of St. Louis citizens who call attention to some of the problems downtown and some of the issues downtown, and calls attention to them because, as we know, the squeaky wheel always gets the oil. And even though people are elected to represent downtown in the city of St. Louis, there are a lot of different entities and a lot of different people pulling you in all different directions, and they want to bring attention to some of the problems of downtown, and he's been on the show from time to time. He mentioned this vape shop that is selling this THCA or whatever it is. It's a story that we really haven't touched on too much around here because it's sort of under the radar, and it's somehow a synthetic THC legal loophole, whatever. I don't even know how you would define it, but they're selling it all across the country and all across the region. And on a side note, St. Louis County Council. Now, look, you ask yourself, hey, should you be allowed to sell illegal drugs? Of course not. Could you be allowed to sell mind-altering drugs to anybody you wanted at any age? Of course not. That's obvious.
Alcohol is regulated.
Cannabis is heavily regulated. Cigarettes is heavily regulated. But THCA or Delta 8 or any of these intoxicating synthetic cannabis-esque products, completely unregulated, can sell to a 10-year-old if they want to. They don't care. There are no rules. There are no regulations. And Tipper Gore and the rest of them were upset with the lyrics from Twisted Sister. I mean, you got to ask yourself what in the world's going on. But St. Louis County earlier this week delayed a vote on a bill that would prohibit the sales of these things in St. Louis County. Now, we're talking about the city, but St. Louis County. As you can imagine, who would be against this? How can it be that we can at least agree on selling mind-altering synthetic drugs should be regulated or banned? Who's going to stand up and think that's a good idea, and yet they can't ban it? And we were talking to Les on the way out as he was leaving. I mentioned the unregulated gambling machines. He said, I should mention that this vape shop that's selling this THC synthetic mind-altering drug in which people are walking out as zombies. They also have these slot machines there. And yet we're apoplectic over over a book on a library shelf. I mean, really? We can't control ourselves with the anger over Sydney Sweeney in a jeans ad. We can't. We have a mental meltdown over that. But this stuff that goes right under our noses, we don't pay any attention to. It's a strange world we live in. 314-931-5877. 314-931-5877. Text your comments to 84126. We'll take a couple of phone calls. Let me talk about appliance discounters. Because at appliance discounters, what do you got? You got appliances at deep discounts. They have their grab and go store. That's on Gravois, next to that Dairy Queen that's been there 142 years. I think Lewis and Clark went to that Dairy Queen at one point. It's their grab and go store. And what does that mean? Well, they've got all the name brands, GE, LG, Bosch. Some of them are slightly dinged, dented. It's usually in the back or the sides. You're never going to see it anyway. They've got one-of-a-kind closeout items direct from the manufacturer. All these are brand new. They all come with the same warranties, the same factory rebates, all that stuff, but you can get them at deep, deep discounts. You can take it right there. You got one-offs, you got two-offs, whatever it is. Come on in, bring the trailer, load it onto the trailer, take it home, hook it up yourself. You're saving all sorts of money. That's part of the appliance discounter's motto is, right, great appliances, name brand appliances, brand new, but at the lowest possible price, hence the name Appliance Discounters. They've got 5 area locations, including the Grab and Go on Gravois. To find the one nearest you, theappliancediscounters.com. Run by the largest, the St. Louis family. They're the largest appliance retailer in the region, and they use that power to pass all those savings on to you. So if you're looking for an appliance, look no further. Theappliancediscounters.com.
The future of vehicle inspections is now at St. Paul Cadillac. Hi, this is Joe Clements. We are excited and proud to now offer you the latest in vehicle inspection technology. It's called UVI. Imagine getting an MRI scan for your vehicle, and St. Paul is the only dealership in the Midwest to offer you this technology. You have to see it and experience to fully appreciate UVI. The underbody scanner will produce a high-resolution imagery in just seconds, and machine learning algorithms will expose mechanical and safety issues that will be shared with our St. Paul service professionals. You will receive a full report detailing fluid leaks, misaligned parts, rust, tire wear, or damaged components. UVI will even let you know where every scratch or dent is located on your vehicle, ones you might not even know existed. UVI is the future of vehicle inspections, and it's only at St. Paul Cadillac. Come by today and see for yourself or schedule an appointment. The future of service is here. UVI only at St. Paul Cadillac, I-55 at the Herculaneum Auto Mall exit.
Imagine feeling trapped, helpless, and afraid. That's what partner abuse creates. Alive is here to make sure that you get the help for yourself, your children, and your pets. Hi, this is Guy Phillips inviting you to participate in Alive's annual golf tournament and auction September 8th at the beautiful Legends Golf Course. Gather a foursome, sponsor a hole, or just make a donation. And all donations get a Missouri tax credit of 70%. Get all the information at alivestl.org. Together, we'll end the cycle of abuse.
Now, back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
I'll tell you what, that Diana Ross concert at the Muni could be epic. That could be really good.
And John Batiste is good, too.
And John Batiste, yeah. Who I had forgotten was the band for...
he started off as a band leader for Colbert.
For Colbert, yeah. Hey, sisters are coming into town. One of the places we're going to take them, sisters love barbecue. Growing up in New York, New Yorkers, they know a lot of things. They think they know more, right? They think they're know-it-alls. But the one thing they don't know is barbecue. And boy, when I first came to St. Louis 26 years ago, have I now been schooled in barbecue. And 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery is the place I like to go. And now that they're coming into town, I've turned them into barbecue enthusiasts. They love good barbecue. And my sister, first time I told her I was going to smoke a turkey, I don't understand. What are you going to take the cigarette ashes? What are you going to do? What do you mean smoke a turkey? What does that even mean? Well, look, 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery has been a world-class barbecue joint for 10, 11 years now, and it operates out of a convenience store. That's right, a convenience store, Woods Mill and Clayton Road. There's a gas station. West County Phillips 66 gas stations. It's fine. It's very average, very plain. It's a convenience store, just like you pass at any nondescript corner all around town. But the magic is in the back, because you walk through the convenience store, and at the counter, they've got the bakery. It's world-class bakery. You never expect world-class baked goods at a convenience store on the counter, but that's exactly what you get. And then in the back, they got Three Bay Barbecue and Bakery. Everything from smash burger tacos, which are really, really good. They're always tinkering with the menu. They always got something. Those steak sandwiches are pretty good, too. When I say pretty good, I mean I argue with myself. Do I want the smash burger taco or the steak sandwich? I don't know. The ribs are off the charts, too. They got world-class barbecue, and it's not fancy. You don't need to bring an ascot. You don't need a bolo tie. You barely need shoes and a shirt. Just bring your appetite and bring a friend. Three Bay Barbecue and Bakery. Catering, dining in, carry out, DoorDash. You want to chow down on good barbecue, or you want to tip off a friend to good barbecue? Three Bay Barbecue and Bakery, or 3baybarbecueandbakery.com.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. Summer may be winding down, but that means the great weather is moving in. Time to get the convertibles, motorcycles, and sports cars out. We're selling them at a brisk pace. As a result, we need to buy even more of them. You have a very clean, classic, collectible, convertible, sports car, or even an everyday car you want to sell. How about an entire collection? We'll buy it all. And if we're buying them, of course we sell them too. Check out our site for some of the finest hand-picked vehicles for sale in the country. Ours are that good. Give us a look. It'll be worth your time.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Now, back to McGraw. Presented by Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff.com on the Big 550 KTRS.
9:45 here, Big 550 KTRS from the Country Club Car Wash text line. I love Mike England when he taught my boys at CBC, and I love him even more now for saving St. Mary's. I grew up on the South Side, and it was always a great school. So there you go. Here's another one. Right on, McGraw. Where are your priorities? You better believe if it wasn't a Doge employee that got kicked to the ground, the government taking over the police, and the National Guard patrolling would never happen. It's also a distraction from the Epstein files. Quick story about the St. Louis City Police Department and how great it is. Down here for City Living, I called the police last week one day, and they never showed up. Here's another one. Try to find out the ingredients in a cigarette. Not possible. Completely unregulated. When I say regulated, I mean taxed, put behind the counter, not being sold to 10-year-olds. So take it up with Robert Kennedy Jr. When I meant to say that regulated mean it can't be sold to everybody, right? Coca-Cola is unregulated, even though it certainly has some regulations on it. It can be sold to anybody is what I meant. Let's see here. McGraw, as long as the residents of St. Louis continue to elect inept leaders and politicians, these problems will continue. I've traveled all over this country with work, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Nashville, and even Chicago. don't have these problems in their downtowns. However, they have quality leaders at the top. You're never a saint in your own hometown. Chicago is the right. Chicago doesn't have any problems downtown. Indianapolis doesn't have any problems downtown. Charlotte doesn't have any problems downtown. I find that hard to believe. They're trying to put a THC shop in the middle of Lafayette Square. I think would be disastrous for the neighborhood. Why would Lafayette Square want a THC shop? What benefit would a THC shop have in Lafayette Square? Here's another one, 3 and 4. They call it Delta 9. I think it's poison. Yeah, I would agree. 3 and 4, nothing will change until we have a city-county merger. Look at the cities we compete with, their success stories after they merged. Boy, ain't that the truth. But saying that, saying merger or a merging of services, people's heads explode. I go back to, what was that story years ago when they wanted to change the way, they wanted to change the contract for the garbage pickup in, was it unincorporated St. Louis County?
I believe you are correct.
So if you lived in unincorporated St. Louis County, they had an opportunity to put in some type of garbage contract so that they would be cheaper, more efficient, and people's heads exploded. How dare you? They always pick up my garbage on a Tuesday. Now they're saying you might want to pick it up on a Thursday. People melted down for months and months and months over the trash contract for unincorporated St. Louis County. So if you can't merge garbage services, how are you going to try and merge anything else? Jim, line 1, good morning. You're on the Big 550 KTRS.
Yeah. Hey, about the, all these accusations about big city crime, and it's not a Republican and Democrat thing that causes it or the perception of it. Let's take a look at what the top leadership, our congressional, our national congressional leadership, and the presidents as well. They did their trade policy. Clinton even threw his little foot into the ring with the NAFTA and the most favored nation trading status and allowing China into the WTO.
Right.
So all that was bipartisan. The Republicans wanted it.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
What?
Hold on a second. Bipartisan, yes. But there were a lot of liberals in the Democratic Party who was very upset with NAFTA and very upset with free trade and very
Richard Gephardt, one of the top most upset people. Russ Feingold as well.
Yeah, no. There was a very, very left leaning, the Sherrod Browns of the world now, who is very much in favor of tariffs. Tariffs were a very left leaning idea, and so now that the Republican Party has abandoned free trade for tariffs, is a story that hasn't been written. It's an extraordinary journey from deep conservative free traders to tariff-loving anti-free traders is an extraordinary journey. I don't know how they did it.
But here's the thing. What did they expect would happen when you just go in and you just butcher the entire manufacturing base of this country so that you could sell, which is value-added products, by the way. That puts people to work. And we sell those goods. That's all. We just got butchered. Republicans and foolish Democrats.
Look, there's no question that the manufacturing world changed.
Yeah.
Did it? Now, hold on a second. It's not
so that they could sell agricultural products.
Well, but it's true. All of this is true, right? All of it's true. But it's also true that technology also did away with a lot of the manufacturing jobs.
Yeah.
And the manufacturing jobs today are much more high tech. And we still have large manufacturing here in America, but it just looks very different.
It's been failed leadership, and we're still getting failed leadership.
I don't know. We have manufacturing. Jim, thanks for the phone call. We have plenty of manufacturing in this country. We have plenty of manufacturing jobs in this country. But the skills needed to do manufacturing today is very different than the skills of 100 years ago, right? You look at the auto plants here in America. Look at the auto plant in Wentzville. It's much more high tech. You don't need as many people to build a car today, but the people you do need to be much more highly skilled with computers and everything else. And so manufacturing looks very different. And so the world changed. It wasn't just because they were free traders. And in some sense, you could argue, ship over the job where you're lacing together sneakers, train the American worker to be a coder, and your sneakers are cheaper, and you've outsourced that job. You've created more customers for everything else, and you've retrained your workers for a higher paying job. So in many ways, again, all of it's true. Some towns were hollowed out. Some of those jobs went away. Those jobs were probably going to go away anyway. It's not as simple as a one sentence answer here. It's much more complicated, and it's much more complicated to sort of, and it's even comical to say we're going to bring back manufacturing. Manufacturing looks completely different than it did 10 years ago. Chris on line 2. Good morning, Chris, from the Big 550 KTRS.
Good morning, McGraw. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I sent that message in about those inept leadership in the other cities downtown.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, those cities don't have problems downtown. Yeah, every city has some problems downtown, but they don't have the magnitude of problems that we have in St. Louis. And it's because they just run better. And I give an example of Charlotte. I went to Charlotte for the first time, and the people that hosted me said, let's go out tonight. And they waited until like 9 o'clock before they wanted to go out. And I was worried because we were staying downtown, and we walked all over the heart of their downtown all night. Nobody bothered us. There's lots of police presence. Businesses were thriving. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I wish we could do that in St. Louis. My nephew went to college up in Chicago, and I had to take him up there because my brother's deceased. So I was the guy, so I had to take him up there. And the college is in downtown. And he wanted to walk around downtown Chicago. And I was like, man, I don't know about this. But he wanted to, so we did. And I was shocked how I could walk down in downtown Chicago. Again, nobody bothered us. The businesses were thriving, lots of police. It was in broad daylight, middle of the day, so I don't know how it would change.
Chris, you're cherry picking. I mean, you are. I mean, you know how many people I've had visited at St. Louis in the 25 years I've lived here, and have said, man, what a great town. I've taken them to walk the streets of the Hill or the Central West End or downtown or whatever else, and had a great time, and said, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing in the world. Of course, I didn't take them to the drug-infested open drug park.
But that's in the middle of downtown.
No,
you avoided that. You avoided that.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And the person took you out in Charlotte avoided their open air drug park.
No.
And you're telling me Chicago. You're telling me Chicago. Chicago is a bastion, right? Chicago's got all sorts of problems with crime, and I've walked downtown Chicago, and I've had fun in Chicago. I've had fun. There are places to go in Chicago, Chris, and there are places you don't go in Chicago, and that's just the truth. Don't come in here and tell me that Chicago is a better run city than St. Louis.
Downtown is.
Each city has its own problems, and there are places you go and there are places you don't go. Chris, I got to go. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks for the spirited discussion. Hey, you can go to Dents Express. Bring your car into Dents Express. 2 locations, Manchester Road in Baldwin. Also, they're on Highway 94 in St. Charles. But here's the deal. Dents Express. You got dings and dents. You've got, you want your dents removed. You got some hail damage you want fixed, maybe a minor collision. All of that can be done at Dents Express. Normally, no appointment needed, but because of the high volume from KTRS listeners flooding Dents Express, all they're asking you is to make an appointment, and then they'll handle the rest. They'll work with your insurance company. They'll handle all the paperwork, and they'll go from there. They've been doing this for 30 years. DentsExpressSTL.com. They've gotten great response from KTRS listeners. We're thrilled. So many people have told me, texted me, called me, stopped me on the street. while I was walking in the nice part of Chicago, that they love Dense Express. DenseExpressSTL.com. Now, one more here. Let me tell you about Dr. Joe, because Dr. Joe has opened up a weight loss clinic. Lots of people talking about these weight loss drugs. How do you get it? Where do you? I got a bunch of questions about it. Let me tell you what to do. STLMedWeightLoss.com. STLMedWeightLoss.com. That's the clinic. That's the one Dr. Joe has set up. He's a board-certified primary care physician. They'll answer all of your questions, and in just a couple of days, they'll be able to send the drugs right to your front door, and you'll be able to boost your metabolism, reduce your food cravings, and start losing weight. You know how great it feels to wear a shirt that was once too small for you, and now it's too big for you? I've lost... well, a couple of pounds. I'm going at it good, and I'm following the program. Call Joe and tell him you're a KTRS listener. They'll give you all sorts of deals. STLMedWeightLoss.com. We're done. Thanks for putting up with me. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Frank and Jill next. Bye-bye.
Now open, the owners of the Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill's newest endeavor, What's in the Box Lunches, located at 40 Worthington Access Drive in Maryland Heights. It's just a minute